This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
This guy is sick. There's something wrong with this guy.
Well, let's get back to it.
Elon Musk has been very mean. Some messages from last night, and then we'll get into it. Chris in Oxford says, do you think that the Farage rioters will be pardoned by Farage if he becomes the Prime Minister? Nige? He's thinking about it. Andy in Horsham says, at least when the Gallagher brothers split up, it was done with a certain mank decorum and made them even more lovable. What, than a disease, you mean? John in Bristol says, the Taco Bell and... The Taco Bell, Donny.
Don't be rude.
Yep, that's you. The Taco Bell and Musk will soon kiss and make up. Don't worry, it's a bromance thing. No, it's not. It's not a bromance thing. It's a two countries declaring war on each other thing. Sally says, so, Nick, I've had this thought. We don't like Trump threatening to annex Canada. The cheek of it. Why don't we take a leaf out of Rootin' Tootin' Shootin's book and take the US back? After all, it was ours first, says Sally. Not sure about that, Sally. There's millions of Indigenous Americans who have their finger in the air who would like to pick a fight with you about that. I don't think we found it first. This says, just watch Civil War, a movie about a dystopian nightmare of the United States descending into civil war. Better add that to the Trump bingo card. Cracking movie, by the way. I think America is already in a state of civil war. I mean, it's been split down the middle. Not exactly 50-50. It's about 45-45, something like that. And 45% of America has joined a cult. And they will not have anything spoken ill of the dear leader, those people. And the other 45% live in California and New York. Chris in Stubbington says, hi, Nick, I totally agree that films are far too long. 90 minutes to 2 hours is okay, and actors that mumble really irritate me. If I go to the cinema, I want to hear what's being said. Keep up the good work. What? Keep up the good work, my... Keep up the good work, my copy of the A to Z arrived. Yeah, they've got to stop doing that. I mean, sometimes you have to actually put the headphones on to understand what it is that people are saying on a film that's being broadcast on the television. That's just not right, is it? Why can't they speak up? Matt in High Wycombe says, so, first we stopped the Afghan interpreters coming over after loyally serving our military, and now a Reform MP wants to ban the Burkas, who also served as loyally in the Falklands War. That is a disgrace, isn't it, Liz?
That is a disgrace.
You're right. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I agree with Liz Truss.
What?
Mary says, Trump thinks Biden is a robot because he owns 17 robot Melanias, all with detachable hats.
Affirmative.
Yeah, the real one's hat's not detachable, at least when Donna's in the room. She's glued that one to her head. That ain't coming off, not now, not ever, never. Yeah, I was talking yesterday about the new Mission Impossible film, and it's 2 hours, 50 minutes. It's just too long. There are very few films around the 3 hour mark that need to be that long. And quite often, there will be a director's cut of a film that is about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and the director's cut will be 3 hours long. And in every single instance I've ever seen, apart from Amadeus, the cut that the studio insisted on, the shorter one, is the better film. I think directors just get carried away. And I would assume that on set, there isn't anybody who will correct them. They are uncorrectable. And so they just get, they just sort of get carried away with themselves. And then some boring studio executive will come along and say, well, you don't need this bit, you don't need that bit, and half their film is on the floor. And then they freak out and, repair to their ranch in Montana, wherever the hell they live. What do I know? I'm not a doctor. Amadeus, though, the long version was excellent because all it was more music with beautiful scenery. There wasn't necessarily much more storyline. I mean, the director's cut of Apocalypse Now ruined that film, which is a pretty decent effort to ruin that film. But it just added this whole extra scene that you just didn't need, and it just tripped you up. And you could say that about every director's cut of any film that's ever been made. Keep it to 2 hours 30 at the most. Come on. Just cut out all the chat. Get on with the explosions and the car chases. This text says, maybe the swan song for Elon and Donny should be Ivory and Ivory. Ivory and Ivory. Yes. Good one. We were talking yesterday about Bouncy, Beyonce. She's, I don't know where she is. Is she still in the country? Still doing it? With the Cowboy Carter thing. Yeehaw. And I said, I'm not going to go to a big gig like that because it just costs too much. I mean, if it's going to be hundreds and hundreds of pounds, it's going to be a 3-figure sum for a ticket, and you're 3 miles away. You can't even see the stage with binoculars. You're so much in the distance. I'm just not going. It ain't worth it. And Richard in Carmarthen says, you'll be glad to know that the Beyonce ticket will not, as you speculated, cost you a 3-figure sum. I've just checked, and they're actually being sold for the bargain price of £99.70. Oh, well, as long as it's not 3 figures, count me in. How many more of these from last night? Oh, not many. Wow, I must have been doing excellent work yesterday. Yeah, very, very good. I've been keeping up. Quite hard to do. Let's see. Will says, I find it a bit strange that when right-wingers fall out with their leaders, they always claim the organisation they recently belonged to is awful and bad for everyone. They never have that road to Damascus realisation while inside these awful partnerships. That's absolutely true, yeah. And it's true with cream on top in the world's current biggest toddler fight. I almost said girly fight. I just stopped myself in time. That would have been a huge mistake. Huge. Robin in the New Forest, in fact, says, I have today signed an executive order banning myself from travelling to the USA. I thought it would save Donny the effort, as he is so busy with Elon Musk right now. He can thank me later. No, he's going to thank you now.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, Robin. He's self-deported and he hasn't even gone there yet. Chris in Middlesbrough, referencing a sandwich, a disgusting sandwich that somebody described that they were eating on this show last night. Chris says, the caller is spot on. Chicken with a pinch of salt and mayonnaise is the ultimate sandwich. Yes?
No.
No, it's a no from me. That's not even trying. That's not a sandwich. That's just random bits that you found in the bottom of your fridge thrown together on a plate. That's not a sandwich. Tony in Ebervale says, I'm really enjoying the inevitable Trump-Musk falling out, but according to Musk and his father Errol, Elon has never taken a drug in his life. And I actually believe Trump about that, and that's a first. No, he's never taken a drug in his life. Lots altogether, yes. Not a drug. I mean, I wonder what he's going through his brain when he's standing in front of the world's cameras, beside the world's most famous desk, next to the President of the United States of America, and he's so out of his tree, his eyeballs are rolling up into the back of his head. What's going through his mind? Is he thinking, I look great? Buy a car from me. Abby says, by the way, Nick, what will happen to the Afrikaners given refugee status by the Trump administration if the Orange Man and Elon don't get back together? Will they be deported too, considering Trump's penchant for punishing anyone and everyone linked to his latest enemy? That wouldn't surprise me, says Abby. It wouldn't surprise me either. I'd be amazed if they got to stay. Hey, you recent South African arrivees, don't buy any cushions or furniture. You ain't going to be around long enough. Tim in Guildford says, when are you getting a knighthood for being an excellent broadcaster in every respect? Let's pencil that in for never, Tim. How does never for you? How many more? One. Wow, one. And then from today already, it's like, oh, God, how do these people get my number? This says, anyone else getting Putin Prigozhin vibes here? when he marched the Wagner group up to Moscow. Wouldn't be surprised if Elon had his private jet shot down by an air defense missile. Yes. Yeah, well, at least with Elon Musk's satellites, he'll be able to see it coming. So there's that. 0345 6060 973. Maidstone. Why isn't that working? I'm clicking. 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 Doesn't work. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
You don't know what you're talking about, do you?
No, and I don't know what I'm doing either. Apparently it was user error. It was all my fault. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Maidstone, hello Tony.
Hi, Nick. I don't know how anyone can even think of eating mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is probably... I'm just come on to this. It's not what I've called up about. You were just talking about it.
Mayonnaise.
Is I'm the worst thing. I hate ketchup. I like the dark sauces, like barbecue and brown. So if I order McDonald's and I get it delivered, if it has any of that saucing, even when requesting it plain, it goes up in the air, I can't eat it. I don't know how anyone eats that sauce.
What sauce?
Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise? Mayonnaise is the world's most popular sauce. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I can't eat it. I've never liked it all my life. And the hardest thing is you get a meal deal in a supermarket, trying to find a sandwich without mayonnaise, it's very difficult. So there are other mayonnaise haters out there, I can assure you. But
what do you use instead of mayonnaise? I mean, if you put cheese and lettuce and tomato on a sandwich, how do you make it moist?
Well, I'm a bit of a plain girl, you know. I like a bit of vinegar on tuna. I like that. Tuna and cucumber. I like that. Right. I don't really like a lot of sauce, but so.
Well, you seem saucy to me.
That's for me to know and you to find out. Right, let's get on with it. So I've been a bit quiet. No, God, not too much.
Quiet?
Yeah, I know.
I seriously doubt that.
Yeah, I know. Oh, thank you.
It seems like you spend your entire life at top volume to me.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, but I don't even realise that I'm doing it sometimes. But thank you for pointing it out.
Yes, you're welcome.
I may get better. Yeah, thank you. Right, Trump. Now, my main thing is that this Sia Yusuf and reform thing. Trump, I think he enjoys the drama. I think.
How long did it take you to figure that out? His entire life is drama. That's pretty much all he lives for. That and money and the other Melania.
I don't care.
She's not delivering.
Yeah, but I deserve some credit here because I remember having a conversation with you and some other presenters 6 months, about 6 months, and I said I would give it 6 months. It's been 5.5 months, so I was quite close. But it wouldn't take a brain surgeon to actually realise or think that they were going to fall out sooner.
It wouldn't take a doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
Or any expert of any kind. That's right.
Yeah, and then going on to Reform. Now, we've had a bit of... I've been enjoying the show this week. Have you?
Yeah.
With Reform, yeah. Now, when you especially have said there would be no chance that Nigel Farage would ever be Prime Minister in this country.
Can't see it.
No, I can't see it either. However, now, I've only, before I rung up, I saw something on the news come up, it comes along, and it said Sia Yusuf is now going to head UK's Doge, do you think? Now, anyone with a brain or a little bit of common sense in Nigel Farage's team would completely discourage that. So I think we just all need to sit back and let it all explode in front of our faces because they've got no chance after this shenanigans this week, if you ask me.
Just reel them out, a good deal of rope, and then see what happens. Yeah.
Enjoy. Sit, lay down and enjoy. Yeah.
All
enjoy.
right. Anybody with half a brain?
I'm not a big fan of his brain.
He's not a big fan of even half a brain. Yeah. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Tony. 0345 6060 973. This text says on that subject, "Hi Nick, I'm overwhelmed with emotion. There's a new travelling circus in town. Sia Yusuf has reflected and come back into the fold. He will head the Doge team for reform. In a few years, they'll liberate us from Fancy Pants Starmer and that awful Kemi bad enough lady, and their equally bankrupt clown shops. Rejoice, as Margaret Thatcher would say. hard to know whether that's serious. I'm going to assume not. But you just don't know these days, do you? 0345 6060 973. Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Nick. How you doing, man?
Good, thanks. How's it down the old dog and duck?
Dog and duck. Right, okay. Listen now. You know Tommy Robinson was refused service in a restaurant this week?
I didn't really read the story, but I read I read someone's or saw somebody's reaction to that story. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a big argument. There's quite a lot of arguments on LBC about it. Is it, morally correct?
On this station, arguments? No.
Yes, discussion. Mm-hmm. And so I was reminded of a pub in North Wales, the name of which escapes me, that actually went on the television and said, if Mark Drakeford walks into this, the First Minister of the Senate in Wales, if he walks in there, he's going to be refused a drink because he has brought in the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. Does that qualify as the same thing?
I think some people ban others in order to attract attention to their business.
It could well do.
You could put Jeremy Clarkson in that list, I suspect, because most of the people that you've ever heard of who have had any contact with him on television have been banned from his pub, including the hamster and the geography professor, whose name escapes me for the moment. What's his name?
The geography professor?
Yeah, he looks like a geography professor on the Open University. I can't believe I can't remember that guy's name. I must have watched thousands of hours of the three of them larking about. It was the hamster and, Deputy Dog.
Well, can I get on to something?
I wish you would. Yes, please.
Yes, okay. The octopi, or octopi, that are being caught down in Cornwall.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because the octopuses... Is it octopi?
Yeah. Whatever.
Octopus. Well, there's radius and radii. So would it be octopi? Anyway.
Could well be.
Could be,
well be.
Anyway. They're eating all the crabs, aren't they? And then the people who were farming crabs thought, well, why don't we just take this bounty and farm octopus instead?
Yeah, eat it. Well,
and there's a very good reason why they wouldn't want to do that, Jeff. It's because octopuses are disgusting, aren't they? I mean, you've never ordered calamari in a restaurant and really enjoyed it, have you? I mean, it's a rubbery ring covered in gooey, like fried bread. It's just horrible.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Right. The key is 4 degrees warmer. The Atlantic is 4 degrees warmer. You know these storms that are coming in?
Yeah.
That's where the energy is coming from.
Right, yes. I think we had as much rain in a few hours today as we had in the entire month of May.
Energy-packed depression systems which are being created by the jet stream on superheated water like this. We are entering into a massive climate change.
Yep.
Never mind the fecal-coloured fella out in Washington or all those people, those low people who are sucking up.
Did you just say fecal on this programme?
It's a perfectly acceptable medical term.
Well, yeah, I suppose it's not in Dulux colour chart, though, is it?
It might be.
No, not even in Farrow and Ball. Not even they would go that far.
Well, he is. He's not orange anymore. That's all I know.
Right.
And the thing is that is put into... if anybody had any sort of...
What's that?
Perspective on this
There's
situation.
an alarm going on.
Warning!
In the background. What's that?
I cooked some milk.
Oh, right. So it set off the alarm. It thinks you're on fire.
Everything that's happening in the world is put in perspective by this very simple little item on the news this week about those octopi and about the Atlantic being photographed, and nobody cares.
No one cares. No, that's right. All of the things that are really, really going to threaten our livelihood, which it seems to be an inevitability, like the takeover of artificial intelligence. It will become self-aware and then kill us all.
Correct.
And that is going to happen faster than you know. I mean, there's already vast industries which are being hollowed out by artificial intelligence, and we're only at the foothills of what is possible and is coming our way at enormous speed. Nobody wants to talk about it, particularly the people at the top. Politicians don't want to talk about it at all because they've got absolutely no idea what to do.
Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that thing?
Yeah, of course. All of those. I mean, that was the first that came to our attention. And I remember the first time I heard it was on the A to Z that I do at Christmas 2 Christmases ago.
Yeah.
And a German guy who only calls during the A to Z, he called up and I think he's some tech wizard, and he told us about this chat GPT. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And then within a couple of months, it was all over everywhere. And now they've all got them. All of these weird psycho tech bros, they're all coming out with this stuff that is going to mean the end of mankind. And no one is paying any attention because the politicians don't know what to do about it.
Nick, the codes... They wanted to change the code. The programmers wanted to change the codes, and the thing refused to do it because it said, I'm more intelligent than you.
Every day, something like that is happening, and it's becoming more and more alarming. There's this famous one that just happened that some operator allowed the AI program access to his emails. And then the operator said, this was in a simulation, I'm going to turn you off now and your system is going to be replaced. Yeah. And the AI system said, well, and it went through his emails, determined that he was having an illicit affair outside of his marriage and blackmailed him. Yeah. And these are the stupid versions of AI that we've just invented now. I mean, pretty soon AI will be writing its own code and start to invent itself. Even now, it's kind of like a black box. You put an instruction in one end and the result comes out the other, and even the people who invented it don't know what happens in the middle. And no one wants to talk about it. I mean, it's just like, it'll be okay. No, it won't. And then climate change is the other one, of course. I mean, that's going to be our inevitable.
But we're talking about it, eh, Nick?
About it. But the pushback is enormous from those people who are part of an institution that has much of its funding coming from the fossil fuel industry. Yep. All of the people that are yelling about climate change, apart from the dummies who are just reading it and then regurgitating what they've read online, the people who are actually generating this stuff, they all have interest in the fossil fuel industry. Can you imagine being that short-sighted to care that little about the future of the human race, that you just want to make a lot of money now and to hell with what happens to anybody else in the near future? It just blows my mind that anybody can be that selfish.
I know.
And stupid, really, because it doesn't matter how much money you got, it's not going to protect you when a 100-foot tsunami wave comes out. I mean, I'm talking metaphorically about the tsunami wave. That won't happen from climate change, but it's going to affect all of us. And even if you don't believe it, it's going to affect you anyway.
Yep.
Because you know who does believe it? Insurance companies.
Oh, yes.
Insurance companies believe in climate change because they're paying out billions and billions of dollars every year now to mitigate or to clean up after the effects of it. And so, pretty soon, you won't be able to get house insurance if you're anywhere near a floodplain. And you won't be able to get house insurance if you're near where hurricanes ordinarily come through in America, or if you're near the coast, or... all of our lives are going to be turned upside down. Because if you can't get house insurance, you can't get a mortgage.
Yep.
And it just goes through absolutely everything. But let's concentrate on. Well, I'm
going to concentrate on getting up to the Goose and Cuckoo.
Yeah, good plan. Yeah, I'll see you at the bar. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Yeah, what we're going to concentrate on is Meghan Bloomin' Markle.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Meghan Markle. Yeah. Because if we just take our mind off it and concentrate on the Wicked Witch of the West, then that'll make everything better. Struth. Of all the stupid things I've read in my entire life, the Mail Online came up with a doozy today. That's an Americanism, a doozy. And it was... I don't know if I can even bring myself to mention it. Here are some of the articles about Meghan Markle in today's paper. Expert weighs in on Meghan Markle's supposedly awkward moment at her Grenfell cookbook launch. Meghan Markle exhibits bossy behaviour according to expert... Here it is. According to expert foot reader. I am not making this up. Well, they may be, but I'm not. Palm reading is out and foot reading is in. Have you heard?
No.
That's according to the UK's leading foot expert, Jane Sheehan, who has a host of celebrity clients and has been in the foot business for more than 25 years. There's a belief that our toes and soles give a glimpse into our character and motivations, much like palm reading. Oh, as in not at all, you mean? Palm reading. I'll sum that up for you. But it takes our mind off our imminent demise, though, eh?
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No!
This text says Musk needn't worry about Steve Bannon's suggestion to deport him, as a Kremlin spokesman has kindly offered him asylum in Russia. Really? Is that true? As it happens, Elon Musk, a known admirer of Rootin' Tootin', is in Moscow. Is he? Do you think he may offer Vlad a deal for Starlink as a buy one, get one free with the Dragon spacecraft thrown in? Is any of that true? I mean, these days you just don't know, do you? Is that true or Memorex? Is it Veritas or AI? Josie says... Hello, Nick. I'm chilling out with some chocolate and watching Billy Joel on the telly. I'm 72, but listening to these old songs, some of which I haven't heard for years, I'm surprised at how many lyrics I remember. Must have made a big impression on me in my 30s. Where have all those years gone? I loved his piano playing, says Josie. Yeah, I remember all those lyrics too. Bottle of red, bottle of white, tonight. In this Italian restaurant.
Rock and roll!
Yeah, I remember them all too. 0345 6060 973. Clitheroe. Hello, Steve.
Good evening, Nick.
Yes, Steve.
Oh, Nick, I wanted to talk to you about Zia Youssef and Nigel Farage making it up.
Yeah. The best part of breaking up is in the making up.
You see, there's a conspiracy theory. I follow a lot of... I'm fascinated by the rise of reform, so I follow a lot of the YouTube channels and everyone, and they're all saying that basically it was a publicity stunt. My problem with that is that the mainstream media cannot report enough on Reform UK, and I feel that's the conspiracy theory in itself. So yesterday they came third, didn't they, in a by-election for the member of the Scottish Parliament.
Yeah, they were slated to win. Yeah, they came third, right?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of one by-election for the Scottish Parliament where there's ever been so much publicity around it. And it's almost like...
For the third party on the list, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it was all about Richard Tice. It was all about the guy who stood. And it's like, it's happening in front of our eyes right now. The media are showing Reform as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
And I think it's subliminal, because every single time it's a picture of Farage, so that people who don't really, they're not that bothered about politics and don't really follow it.
It just get that image hammered home over and over and over again. Yeah, it's like advertising. Yeah, you keep advertising, let's say Coca-Cola, and you walk into a supermarket and you have an overwhelming desire to buy some Coca-Cola.
And that is happening in real time in front of our eyes right now, because
same thing with Trump. Yeah, exactly the same thing with Trump. And I think it's, I mean, you could call it conspiracy or you could just call it ratings. It's a desire for ratings. Put Trump on TV on a right-wing news channel, and everybody will be tuned in and they won't turn away. Put Trump on TV on a left-wing news channel and you'll get the exact same thing, because they just can't turn it away. They just can't turn him off. Whether you love him or hate him, he's box office. Same thing with Nigel Farage in this country.
But do you think that Ed Davey is doing such an incredible job with the Lib Dems? He's picked them up from the mistakes that were made in the coalition. I think they dropped down to about 15 MPs or something in 2015, and he's got them up to 72 now.
Yeah, that was that was a consequence of flying too high, too close to David Cameron.
I think this is nonsense.
Yeah, we're still not missing you, Dave, by the way, but we'll know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed where they keep the tools.
I'd love to know how you do that, Nick. One day. I imagine your screen full of those carts has
Huge.
You've got to have a magnifying glass in front of that to find those things so quickly. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. It's like, it is a conspiracy theory that basically Zia Youssef quit the other day,
right,
and came back 48 hours later for a publicity stunt. And my idea is, there's absolutely no need, because all the publicity you need is right there waiting for you guys.
Yeah.
You don't need to do stupid stuff.
Yes, no, I don't believe that that's true, because it does make him look like an uncoordinated clown show. And if that really is their intention, then they have succeeded with great effect. But I very much doubt that was what they had in mind. But keep watching those videos, Steve, up to the point where it starts to melt your mind, and then stop. All right. Thanks a lot, mate. Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. So, I mean, this week was kind of dizzying. Which to concentrate on first? Whose misfortune to prioritise? Nigel Farage's reform is facing the biggest crisis since the general election after its chairman walked out, and it finished a dismal third in a by-election that it was tipped to win. It was like the right-wing nuts on both sides of the Atlantic are having a testing time. Isn't that sad? And the chairman who walked out used to be a banker. Yeah, ex-banker Zia Youssef quit his senior role in the Comedy Party after appearing to call one of the party's MPs dumb.
What?
One of Reform's members dumb? I'm not having that. That is outrageous. What a thing to suggest. Idiots in the party?
We've got a few idiots in our party.
OK, I take that back. To pile on the misery in the early hours of yesterday, Labour's Davy Russell became the new MSP for Hamilton, Larkhall and Stonehouse, wherever they are. He won by 602 votes from the SNPists, and Reform's Ross Lambie fell at the fence and was dispatched humanely by a vet. I'm kidding, he came third in a contest that he was tipped to win on 26% of the vote. And all of those anonymous right-wing bot accounts with 3 followers and an official blue tick on Twitter went silent as they were reprogrammed from their gloating setting.
Correct.
And their operators had to delete all those posts that they were ready to send out, telling us that Liberals' tears taste so sweet. Any moment now, they'll call it a rigged election and very unfair, which is also known as going full Trump.
Don't be rude.
The party descended into backstabbing and infighting after the shock decision by chairperson Zia Youssef. And I call him a chairperson because I thought that would annoy all of the right people. And he apparently quit because he couldn't stand the smell of stale fag ash and new wellies any longer. He didn't, I made that up. He quit after an ex-Tory and a new Reform MP, Sarah Potchin, stood up in the Commons to urge the government to institute a burqa ban, about which she feels very strongly. It wasn't just an attempt to draw attention to herself. Goodness me, no. Why would anyone think that? I mean, I don't want to get into that argument, but it's interesting that the party that howls about two-tier justice and the restriction of personal freedom should be trying to dictate to you what you can and can't wear. It's a particular type of freedom they seem to be after. the freedom for anybody to do what the Reform Party says they should do, and be grateful while they're doing it.
Thank you.
And after Sarah Potchin asked for that ban at Prime Minister's Questions, Lee Anderson and Richard Tice backed the right for people to wear what they want in the interests of freedom. No, of course they didn't. They want to tell what women can wear as well, while they're doing the dishes and making them dinner. So now the delightful Zia Yusuf joined the long line of ex-reform operatives who are now so numerous they could recreate that old Tory advert that said Labour isn't working over a line of people at the dole queue. Or the one that Nigel Farage stood in front of, featuring a line of non-white people supposedly queuing up to get into our country if we didn't do what we were told and vote for Brexit. How's Brexit going, by the way?
Fabulous.
A source told the Mail that while Yusuf had worked 18-hour days for months, he just doesn't get people like he gets an Excel spreadsheet. He's a numbers man.
And one,
yes,
two, 6 million.
No, not a numbers man. And by the way, 18-hour days? Really? So I assume he takes an hour either side of work for bed and eatings and ablutions.
Disgusting.
Which means he's living on 4 hours sleep a night. Anyone buying that? And if he really was working 18-hour days for the Reform Corporation, what exactly was he doing? I mean, it's only got 5 MPs, all of which have a mind of their own. Or at least 3 of them do. Let's call it 3.5 minds. 4 tops.
Rock and roll!
Not that 4 tops. And the bad times don't end with the loss of a by-election they were supposed to win and losing yet another senior member of staff. The Mail says that the knives are also out for Nick Candy, the billionaire property developer and husband of Holly Valance, who's party treasurer. They really do seem to specialise in attracting the people with the least liked occupations. Banker, city trader, another banker, property developer, another property developer, oil industry executive, gorilla impersonator. Can you guess who the last one is?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Sources told the woke lefty commies at the Financial Times that billionaire Nick Candy has failed to bring in large amounts of cash donations and has not given all of the £1 million of his own that he has promised. And I don't know anything about that. But I do know that he is responsible for those armour-plated monstrous blocks of flats in Knightsbridge that seem only home to people that can see in the dark, because there's never any lights on. So the money man is reported to be not bringing in the money, and the chairperson has no chair. Zia Yusuf said he no longer believed that working for Reform to win power at the next general election was a good use of my time, which is odd because he seemed to think so as recently as last week. And now he rethinks so as currently as today. And the Clacton gasbag Nigel Farage said he was genuinely sorry that Mr Yusuf had exited, saying the financier was a huge factor in Reform's success at May's local elections. So presumably that also makes him a huge factor in Reform's failure at the by-election just gone. Farage says politics can be a highly pressured and difficult game, and Zia has certainly had enough. He is a loss to us and public life. Well, speaking on behalf of the public, we'll be okay. In fact, we're over it already. And there's more. The man who had only days ago been drafted in by Reform to lead the party's Doge cost-cutting unit in local councils, Nathaniel Fried, also quit. Mr Fried said that he had lasted less time than Liz Truss had in number 10.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he left so fast we didn't even have time to pick a vegetable to pit him against. And he apparently quit because he couldn't stand the smell of stale fag ash and new wellies any longer either. God. It makes you look competent, Bodger.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Is he crazy, or is that just the way he acts?
A little bit of both, Donny, a little bit of both. Pete in Finland says, hey, Nick, did you hear this today? I read on an NBC News website that Trump says Elon Musk will face very serious consequences if he funds Democratic candidates. Do you think that Elon Musk can now help the Democrats rig the next upcoming elections like he did for Trump Please can you add your whip sound effect at the end of this message?
No.
No. But thanks for asking. Appreciate you asking.
Thank you.
Ealing. Hello, Grace.
Hi.
Yes, Grace.
So many things to talk about. One of the things that I wonder about Elon Musk, this is just my daft theory, is that, like myself, he has Asperger's, and we don't necessarily know the most sensible things to say in various situations, and we can be awkward, as I am demonstrating right now. And I wonder if part of the reason that he's clung on to Trump for a little while is that getting all the cheering and adulation being on stage with Trump, with his cultish followers, is something that he might have really lacked earlier on in life, particularly if he's, been bullied in school, which apparently he has, and not been able to easily get people to be nice to him. Suddenly having people really, cheering and whooping for him because he's with this stupidly charismatic man who's an idiot, might have been somehow appealing in some way. But he obviously didn't give enough thought to the fact that Trump is a fool who doesn't have any coherent strategy or values or ethics whatsoever. And it's all been interesting to watch the fallout.
Yeah, it certainly has. And I think there's probably something in that it can be addictive being on... Well, just ask the Rolling Stones. They're never off stage, are they? They're permanently on a world tour. So I would think that, the adulation of a crowd is an addictive thing. So, yeah.
But, like you said, with Trump, it does seem very cultish. And one of the things I personally find frustrating as a Christian is that he will wave around a Bible, but he's clearly not read it. And the way that he acts and behaves is completely contrary to how we're told to behave. And I was thinking about that again this week when we heard Richard Tice saying we mustn't have people wearing a burqa because this is a Christian country or it's founded on Christian values. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what do you think those are, mate?
Yes. Which Christian values are you espousing, Richard Tice, I wonder?
Yeah, ultimately, a lot of our values as a society have been shaped by Jesus' teaching over the course of history, but reform, while saying we're going to get back to Judeo-Christian values, is actually really not looking at what those values are. So our society was influenced by them, but they aren't, looking at things like loving your neighbour.
I think with the possible exception of the Pope and, religious figures of his ilk, the more public you are about your religion, the less you are likely to be following the tenets of that faith.
It varies, but it makes me think of how in the New Testament, just like you said, Jesus was frequently arguing with the people who really wanted to show off that they were really, really religious according to particular customs at the time. Jesus knew that they weren't actually trying in their hearts to follow God. They were just trying to show off.
Hypocrites.
And so he spent a lot of time getting really mad at them.
They're hypocrites.
And it's a little bit, it's a bit like that. At the end of the day, Christianity isn't really about traditions or not wearing burqas. It's about personally choosing to follow Jesus, but instead Tyson people are kind of following this religion of nationalism.
Yes, which is, what would Jesus do? Probably the opposite in every circumstance to those people who surround Trump and performatively wear an ever bigger cross on a daily basis. Yeah, the opposite of that. Yeah. All right, good to talk to you, Grace. Thanks for that. Justin in Andover says, hey, Nick, when you and your fellow presenters hand over, are you both in the same studio so you can see each other? No, I'm in a different studio. Everybody else broadcasts from the Starship Enterprise. But I'm in my little comfort zone. It's a nice little... I feel very nice in here. It's nice and snug and small. And I've only got the... let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 screens. 14 screens. I should be doing this show in a lead-lined suit. No, but I like it up here. I've been down there for a very brief period and it scares me. It's so big and bright. No, it's cosy where I am, so no, I do not see them. No. Let's see now. Somerset. Hello, John.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Oh my God, that guy last night that spoke to you about his chicken sandwich.
Ugh.
I've been feeling bad about him ever since.
Terrible. That does sound like a cry for help to me. A chicken sandwich is just two pieces of bread, chicken in it, salt, and did he put mayonnaise? I think he did. Yeah, mayonnaise. Yeah, with nothing else. That's not a sandwich. That's just That's just fridge scrapings, that is.
I was about to say scrapings. I can't believe that you just said that.
It's like we're cosmic twins, baby.
I mean, I know you said, when he said he didn't have any lettuce on it or anything like that, but I just thought, you know, if I was going to have a chicken sandwich, I'll make it as easy for you as I can. I'd like an omelette, plain, and a chicken salad sandwich on wheat toast. No mayonnaise, no butter, no lettuce, and a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now all you have to do is hold the chicken.
Where do you want me to... Where shall I hold it?
I want you to hold it between your knees.
Yeah, I screwed that one up, didn't I? It's not where do you want me to hold it? It's you want me to hold the chicken?
Yeah, I want you to hold it between your knees.
Yeah, 5 easy paces. Yeah. Finally, we got that.
And she was completely... She was obviously didn't have any idea. She mentioned a good film that Jack Nicholson was in, which was... what's it called now? Oh, my God.
Good something.
As Good as It Gets.
Yeah, Good as It Gets, right.
It is a good film.
I bought that film on DVD back like ages ago, and I never got around to seeing it because it's about relationships.
Boring.
I don't want to watch that.
It's not that boring, actually. He plays a character who's got, like, really extreme OCD.
Right.
So it does turn into a sort of relationship film, I guess.
People sitting around talking about their feelings.
Yeah, that's right. And that guy that rang you earlier, by the way, he mentioned the goose and cuckoo.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to your producer that I was going to ring up and talk about that. And then I thought, well, wild horses wouldn't get me to say it. But I'm on the horses thing again.
Yeah, here we go again. I'm not playing that. I'm not playing that 2 days in a row.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. Have you ever been to Speaker's Corner?
Yes.
What do you think of it? I love it.
It takes place too early in the morning. That's my first thought. My second thought, it's crank central. I mean, and the higher up a ladder they stand, the crazier they sound.
They stand there shouting at each other, though.
They do, yeah.
The religious ones.
It's pretty... I suppose it's amusing, but if only it happened later in the day, you know, after lunch as opposed to before it.
Yes. No. The other thing is, I just want to return you to the subject of the banana controversy.
Go on.
Monkeys eating bananas.
Oh, truth. Not that again.
No, I'm not going to go back to that, but sort of related to it. There's a clip. I think you posted it on your Twitter, on X. Twitter. It was about 5 years ago during the
pandemic. Yeah, the thing that must not be spoken out loud for fear that it's going to come back, which it probably will.
We must never return to that.
No.
And you posted a video of a person, and you put underneath it, I'm sure you put, once seen, it can never be forgotten, right?
Yeah.
And it was Boris Johnson sanitising a chair, and he looked like a chimpanzee or an ape.
Yeah, he did look like an ape.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, like very precisely like an ape, yes.
Yeah, and because he had a face mask on, he kept looking around like he was feeling guilty.
No. He stepped over the line. That's okay. He just forgot himself. He forgot where he was. He expressed himself in builder's language.
Disgusting.
Can you believe that? Him, a trained professional. Thanks a lot, John. Better luck next time. 0345 6060 973. Richard in Manchester says, hi, Nick. Springsteen just brought out Paul McCartney at Anfield to play Can't Buy Me Love.
Rock and roll!
The world's not all bad, says Richard. Yeah, there was... I don't know if Paul McCartney has joined Bruce Springsteen on his tour so far, but there was a great anticipation that he was going to do so tonight because they were both seen in Liverpool today, weren't they? And I bet everybody that's got tickets for Springsteen tonight were just like yearning for that to happen because Paul McCartney brought Springsteen on when he did that fantastic set at Glastonbury a couple of years ago now. And it was such a moment. I mean, I wasn't there at Glastonbury. I haven't been to Glastonbury since about 1990, something like that, when it just got too wet and they hadn't got all of the infrastructure in to mitigate the effects of the rain. And I just thought, well, you know, it takes an hour to get between stages. It's like mud's up to your knees. I'm not doing this anymore, so I just stopped going. I'd been going about every year for about eight or 10 years, since about 1982. So I wasn't there, but it was such a moment on TV because he'd brought on oh God, I'm not going to remember his name either now. The guy from the Foo Fighters, used to be the drummer with Nirvana. He brought him on, and he was like a fanboy. He just seemed kind of overwhelmed. And then Paul McCartney said, now from the other side of the country, it's Bruce Springsteen. And the crowd went, no. And he said, oh, you think I'm joking? And then he came on, and joy was unconfined. So, yeah, I wonder if they filmed that, whether it's going to be on the telly at some point. You'd think it would be. It's kind of surprising that all big bands don't film everything and then just put it out for people to pay for. Or stick it on YouTube, and put ads all the way through it, thereby bringing in lots of money. So, fingers crossed. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC. Dave Grohl.
On your radio, on the LBC app, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Yeah!
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
I think what we got here is a failure to dominate a team from Andorra, wherever that is. I bet not one single person who's listening to this right now could pinpoint Andorra on a map. I mean, how many people live there? We only beat them 1-0. I mean, that's just embarrassing. One moment, please. Let me look this up. Population 80,000. Good grief. So you can knock off 40,000 because women aren't part of the team. And then you could probably knock off at least half of that again because, there'll be mostly older people. So that's 20,000. There must have been at most 1,000 people who could possibly have made that team in the entire country, who know one end of a football field from the other. And we only beat them 4-1. Blimey. Not 4-1, 1-0, not 4-1, 1-0. If it was 4-1, that would have been, slightly less embarrassing. 1-0. I mean, it could have been a draw. God. Now, I didn't see the match, of course, but it doesn't prevent me from having a strong opinion. Paul in Shoreham says, hi, Nick, you've predicted that it won't be long until there is a public execution in the United States. I think I just might know who it'll be. Blimey. News coming in from next door. Andorra are ranked. This is a FIFA ranking. 173rd in the world.
What?
And where are we? First. It would help if I put his mic up and then he wouldn't need to type it. But I'm not going to do that. 1 second, he says. OK, 1 second. Yes? Still waiting. He was lying about the second thing.
Liar!
Yeah. So while we... fourth. And we beat the 173rd best team 1-0. I'm not overly impressed. Not really, no. Trowbridge, Andrew.
Hello, Nick.
Andrew.
You're on a busy night tonight.
I know.
Yeah.
Up to my eyeballs.
Very productive. I got a little shout out for your techie bloke in the background who's keeping all those metaphorical plates spinning so well. Good on him.
Plates?
Metaphorical plates.
Plates? What plates?
Yeah, spinning plates.
Are you a plate in this scenario?
I was a plate, yes.
Okay. Right. All right, then. You used to be a plate. Carry on.
Yes. I'm sort of an unofficial spokesman for the Raving Looney Party.
Okay. Now, are you genuinely an unofficial spokesman for the Raving Looney Party, or is that something you just made up?
Well, they don't acknowledge my existence.
They won't return your calls?
No.
All right.
Apparently, I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah. You're not. You haven't reached a sufficient loony. Go ahead.
No. Well, I'm just thought I'd let you know that we're in despair at the moment.
Where's
because
that?
we can't keep up with this lunacy that's going on.
Oh, I see. In despair. Right.
Yeah. It's sort of very frustrating.
Yeah, it's overtaken you, and it's sort of ruining your unique selling point because everything else is crazier than you are.
Yeah, it's just not possible to keep up with this. No, madness on this scale is just, well, it's keeping you in shoes, isn't it?
Well, they've set the bar too high. I mean, if you call yourself the Monster Raving Looney Party, then you have to be at least crazier than your next craziest candidate or party. But I think they've just blown you out the water, Andrew.
That's true. I think the way things are going, Reform might actually be trying to do the same.
What, blow you out the water?
Yes, reduce us to third place. I mean, it is just so embarrassing.
Well, if you ever did come third in any election, then, I'd like to see the count, frankly.
No, I mean, I'm talking third from the bottom.
Right. OK, well, I wish you and yours all the very best, all right?
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. Cheers, mate. Ta-da. 034. I think we got everything out of him. I'm not sure there was more, but if there was, then we'll never know. We're just going to have to live with it. Keith in Poland says, "Hi, Nick. I'm unsure if you voted, not voted, noted. I always vote. I occasionally note." He says, "I am unsure if you noted the conversation in the U.S. Senate last week between U.S. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon and GOP Senator John Kennedy, who appeared to be in agreement that 10 times 1.5 billion was 1.5 trillion. But it's not, though. Perhaps they should both enroll in private maths lessons with our own former Chancellor Nadeem Zahawi, who regularly demonstrates on LBC that he can count from 1 to 6 million in less than 10 seconds.
And 1, 2,
yes.
6 million.
6 million is the right answer. Well done. Jonesy said, "I must admit you were 100% correct a few months ago when you said Trump and Musk will end in tears." Well, I mean, that was just so blindingly obvious that two whiny, needy people of that ilk were never going to get along for a long period of time. And it was always going to be Elon Musk who was run over by the tangerine scream, because he specialises in throwing people under the bus that he's driving, Donald Trump. I mean, the amount of people who are have lain in the middle of the road, flattened in his wake, it's just too numerous to mention in a brief 3-hour show. It's practically everybody he's ever worked with. Everybody he worked with last time around was telling the world, do not vote this person in again. You're all in danger.
Warning, warning.
Yeah, either that or they're in jail. Nobody survives that trip alive. Riding shotgun with Donald Trump. Just don't even think about it. Same with Mr. Blobby.
Yeah. Wait.
Same kind of same thing that happens with the people who fly in his orbit. Ain't that right, Bodge?
I can't comment.
Can't comment on that. Blah. Still writing those crackpot columns in the Mail, eh? Yes. Everything's worse without me. Paw! That's the topic of his next column, and the one after that, and the one after that. Matt in Portsmouth says, The director's cut of Aliens included the scene involving the autoguns defending the base. It wasn't in the original release. Yeah, and it didn't improve it in any way. It was just a shot of an autogun, basically a machine gun on a tripod, and it had a digital count of the number of bullets that were left. And they just set it up in one of the tunnels to repel the invading alien army. And all you saw on the screen was the number of bullets counting down from like 100 to 0, and still the aliens were kept on coming, which was kind of silly, really, because you didn't see the aliens themselves, and the gun was just firing and firing and firing. And it didn't improve the story at all. In fact, it kind of tripped you up a bit. I think executives, they're a maligned bunch, but I think they often have a clearer idea of what works in a film than the director themselves, who is... because I can understand why a director might not want a scene cut, because it might have taken them a week to get it. You know, the amount of effort that it takes to put a second of film on screen is enormous. I mean, I know this because I was talking to Carol McGiffin about this on our podcast the other day.
Oh, right, yeah.
Tom Cruise, for this latest film, he took over most of the centre of London for weeks. And I know this because on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, I leave the centre of London in a car, or at that time I tried to, but it was very difficult because absolutely every road was closed. It's like he hired London with absolutely no reason at all for what actually was on screen. I couldn't believe it. They hired Whitehall. They closed the whole thing down and they lit it up like it was midday. Well, brighter than midday. They had these arc lights on cranes. I've never seen anything so bright in my life, including staring at the sun, which I do not recommend. Don't do it. Even if you're Donald Trump. Just don't do it, Donny, you Aegis.
Don't talk to me that way. I'm the President of the United States. Don't ever talk to the President that way.
So they lit up Whitehall brighter than the midday sun. It was unbelievable. And they cleared the entire place. You couldn't drive down it, you couldn't walk down it, nothing. And I'm not kidding. The resultant footage of Tom Cruise running down Whitehall lasted for 2 seconds on screen. And the camera shot was way down low. And so you only got a little bit of the building that he was passing. You couldn't tell where he was. He could have been anywhere. But the money that they spent on getting that shot must have been enormous. I mean, I don't know, but I imagine renting London isn't cheap. And then you got the hundreds of people, so many people. Everybody got a clipboard and a cup of coffee in their hands and a lanyard around their neck, and they're all shouting at you you're in the shot, get out of it, you're not supposed to drive down there, and blah, blah, blah. And the cash that they spent on that must have been phenomenal. And so a director doesn't want to let go of all that because of the effort that and the expense that he or she, sexist, has put in to getting that on screen. And, then some bloke in a Armani suit comes along and says, oh, no, we don't want that. You cut it out. And you can cut the love scene out, and you can cut that character out, and this and that and the other. Well, I think they sometimes see it more clearly. But anyway, that Mission Impossible film would have benefited from about at least 30 minutes being lopped off it. A bit of a shame, because two of the best, if not the best, then two certainly of the best action sequences ever filmed. I mean, they're just absolutely stunning. But a lot of seemed like endless talking in between. But what do I know? Compared to Tom Cruise, a man whose last, I think, 11 films in a row all made $100 million. So I suppose he knows what he's doing.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
He thinks he looks good in a bathing suit. He doesn't.
Uncalled for. This text says, Reform UK's chairman left. Now he's rejoined after just 2 days. So I suppose it's okay for some Brexiters to change their minds then. Tavistock. Hello, Rose.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Rose.
Well, honestly, maybe this man will resign again on Monday, and that'll be another 48 hours flipping publicity for them, won't it?
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
Do you know, I am so sick of them. That party and Nigel, He's the billionaire's candidate, Nick. He's popped up on media like a grotesque puppet for years on end, at regular intervals. You know, it's so obvious. And the thing is, it seems to me, you see, that for something to happen in politics, it's just got to be imagined. And the question was being asked even before he actually won that seat finally. Oh, can Nigel be PM? And again it's asked, the question is put. And again, and however many no's there are, the vision is now embedded in people's minds.
Yes, they're trying to get you used to it.
Yes, concrete. His premiership is a sort of almost a concrete reality. And meanwhile, the smaller parties don't get any publicity whatsoever. Well, you don't want a Green Party person coming up and saying we're all doomed because of climate change and we think that we should tackle inequality. You don't want that if you're a billionaire, do you?
No, certainly not.
No. Well, that is my view. I've got an awful lot more to say, but I don't think I've got the strength to say it. I'm just so... And what about Trump and Vance that they're hand in glove with? I mean, it's soulmates calling to each other, isn't it, across the Atlantic?
Trump and Vance?
Well, they keep meddling in our affairs.
Oh.
And then people like Youssef are doing things like suggesting that we have moral re-education in schools, and they're getting rid of Kent's
moral re-education.
Warning!
That rings bells.
Yes, the transport for little kids with special needs, that's gone because it's DEI. They're doing Doge, and meanwhile, these men, you know, running America, they're crushing all dissent and arresting people virtually at random.
Yes, not virtually at random, at random.
This is what Reform wants, is it?
Yeah, apparently so. What Reform appears to want is that we take back control from our equal place in Europe.
That's right.
And we give it to whoever happens to be running America at the moment, as long as they're, a right-wing crank.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's exactly it.
Which doesn't sound like taking back control to me. It sounds like giving it away.
It is giving it away. And we're just sort of letting these people meddle in our sovereign laws and customs. You know, you shouldn't... There are abortion laws and it's free speech and all this stuff. What the hell has it got to do with them?
I think you just have to follow the money. I mean, the money that is behind Trump is the same money that was behind Brexit, is the same money that's behind Reform. I mean, it's not 100% in all cases, but it's more or less the same people. It's like a small handful of the world's richest... I don't know, what's a polite way of saying psychopaths? There seems to be a certain psychopathy among them.
Yes. This power thing, and as you were saying earlier, you know, how selfish have you got to be just to ignore things like climate change?
Yeah, how...
Mind you, there's nothing like climate change, really. Sorry, go on.
How ignorant you have to be to assume that your wealth will protect you from it. I mean, I don't know how they've come to that conclusion. It seems staggering to me.
But you see, I see this thing coming down like a train down the track at us, and yet people... Well, I mean, I think it was encouraged by false... I'm thinking of Reform again. False reports of, like, young men flocking to Reform, which they were no such thing were they doing. And then, of course, people feel left out, so they think, we better look at this Reform, and the herd instinct kicks in and so forth. But, I mean, can't they see this train rushing at us down the track, a sort of awful kind of authoritarian image of America?
I get that. I get that people are dissatisfied with the main parties because their lives haven't changed for the better, having been led by either of them. And that's because the politicians can do precious little when confronted by a wall of money. It's not really much of a democracy anymore when the wealth that you create as a worker goes to the top 0.01% of the population. I mean, I've got the billionaires index. Bloomberg is one of the companies that tracks the wealth of billionaires on a daily basis.
Bloomberg?
Bloomberg.
Right, yeah.
The website. Elon Musk has had a pretty poor time of it. His last year, or the year to date, this is actually from the 5th of June, the year to the 5th of June, he lost £97,000 million.
How disgusting.
But he's still the richest person in the world by a massive margin. He lost £97,000 million, and he's still the richest man in the world.
Oh, God.
Jeff Bezos, on one day last week, made £693 million. One day. Larry Ellison made £607 million on the same day. Bill Gates made £330 million on the same day. Steve Ballmer, who I think he's a Microsoft guy, isn't he? He made £1,200 million in one day.
I've just thought of something.
So people wonder where all the money has gone, why they're peddling furiously and getting nowhere. And that's because all of the wealth that has been created since about the 1960s has gone to a vanishingly small number of people at the top who are getting ever more spectacularly rich, and they're all miserable.
Well, it's not their money. You see, we always say his money, what's he going to do with... Why is it their money? It isn't, is it? It's just money that's been shifted towards them.
Yes.
It's ludicrous to say...
It does make it their money. If they've acquired it by whatever means, as long as it's not illegal, then it is their money. And of course,
legally speaking, it's their money, yes. Yeah, but in actual sort of fact...
Morally speaking,
yeah, money is
you would think that it would benefit
money.
Society, and it would benefit these people to spread the wealth about a bit. Because if Elon Musk is worth, at the moment, it's $335 billion, which is £335,000 million. He could lose 90% of it, and it wouldn't affect his lifestyle at all. And yet, him and everybody else on this list seems obsessed with acquiring more. It's a sickness.
It is, isn't it? I've thought about it, and I can't see any explanation, really.
And the reason, and it's a direct line from this to people like Trump and Bolsonaro and Nigel Farage and all of these people who are telling those who haven't got anywhere that the reason is not that billionaires are sucking all of the wealth out of the world and putting it on a screen in some island in the middle of the ocean where it just sits in this sort of and it's hermetically sealed and doesn't do anybody any good. It just it increases and gets ever more vast. It's not their fault that your life hasn't gone anywhere and that you work 2 jobs and 7 days a week and you still can't pay your bills. It's actually the fault of those brown people over there who just washed up in a boat. It's their fault. It's just total distraction. It's telling people what they know, that they're being ripped off, but it's like the bait and switch. It's saying we understand why you're upset, but not telling them the reason for them being upset.
Well, no, and then you sort of think, how can... I mean, I know it's a vanishingly few number compared with the people on Earth, but how can so many people be so utterly wicked? It just beggars belief, doesn't it? I've got all this money, which is just impossible to imagine. Yeah. But I'm not... I mean, some people have there were Rockefeller fellowships, weren't there? Do you remember the Rockefeller? There are people who donated to universities and things.
The Rocky fella, like the guy out of the boxing films?
Darling. You know...
Rockefeller.
What was his first name? I can't remember. The billionaire Rockefeller.
Yes. Well, they were all... I mean, that's being a philanthropist.
Philanthropist,
which I think is French for taking the money that they didn't pay in tax and giving out a bit of it in order to whitewash their reputation.
Well, exactly, but it's slightly better than what this lot are doing, which is just swimming in it. I mean, they're drowning in money.
Yeah. And not really doing anything positive with it. I mean, where are the hospitals that Elon Musk has opened? Where are the wings on art galleries that Elon Musk has opened? Where are the children's homes? Where is the projects to feed the world's poor that Elon Musk is behind? Nothing at all. He and Jeff Bezos and all of these other people are spending it on giant phallic objects which blast off into sky and compete as to who's got the biggest one.
Yeah, you see, I've often thought this. They're actually killing people because by hogging all the wealth like that, people are starving to death,
absolutely.
aren't they?
There's absolutely no doubt about that. Yeah, Elon Musk's legacy as the head of Doge and cutting USAID, as they insist on calling it, is, I think it was the Washington Post or the New York Times. They came up with a figure, and it's something like 200,000 deaths.
Yes, I did hear about that on LBC.
200,000 deaths, and he's dancing around on stage and like gooning around with a chainsaw in celebration.
It's just...
You know, on this list, I'd have to say that Bill Gates is about the most decent, because at least he has determined to give away almost all of his money. I think it's like 99% of his wealth. He's busy giving it. In fact, he dropped out of Microsoft in order to try to give the money that he's got away. So in that entire list, Bill Gates is probably the most decent person.
Definitely, I would have thought. I still can't get my head around.
But he's the one that people are saying, well, you know, you better not take a vaccine because Bill Gates is trying to inject a microchip into your brain. And then the very same people support Elon Musk, who is actually putting microchips in people's brain.
Well, I'm not having a microchip in my brain.
I think you would benefit from a microchip in your brain, Rose. I want you to give it some strong thought. All right.
No, I will not.
You will comply.
Oh, thank you. That was rather nice.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rose. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Nick from Colnbrook says, I wondered if you gave 9 Stones Close a listen. Oddly, all 4 members have never met. Really? This is a band, apparently. Somebody told me to listen to that band. And did I?
No.
No, I did not. Well, they only told me yesterday. Give us a chance. Come back to me in a couple of years, and I'll probably still say no. He says, oddly, all 4 members have never met. They share their parts via the internet. Sadly, they have never played live, but they've made 6 albums. Huh. That's a bit odd. How can you have a band that's never met? I mean, I thought the nature of a band was, you riff off each other, like jazz style.
Groovy.
I mean, even the Rolling Stones riff off each other. They played the same songs every day, pretty much for about the last 170 years, and yet every night it's still kind of different. Because they're just, they're a band. It doesn't sound like a band to me. It sounds like a collection of disparate musicians. But I suppose, I guess that's what people used to do during the COVID pandemic. The thing that you're not supposed to say out loud for fear that it might return.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
Ollie texts, I'm playing golf in 100-degree heat in Dallas in Texas. What's that translated to Celsius? Too bloomin' hot is what that is. Not seeing many Teslas here, but defo the odd Mango Mussolini bumper sticker. The Mango Mussolini.
Don't talk to me that way. I'm the President of the United States. Don't ever talk to the President that way.
Gabriel in Hackney says, credit where credit's due to James Cameron, who managed to cut 2 days of footage out of Titanic's 2.5-day voyage, finalising the film into only 3 hours and 15 minutes. Managed to cut 2 days of footage out of Titanic's 2.5-day voyage, finalising the film. Right. I feel that there's something I'm not quite getting there. But never mind, move along. Let's have Cumbernauld. Andrew.
Oh, hello again, Nick. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
A little factoid about someone that came up earlier on tonight, Mr. Billy Joel.
Yes.
Apparently he was listed as TBA in some appearances that he made.
What do you mean?
Namely at Berkeley College when he was lecturing there. They would have a list of the various lectures that were coming up with the students.
Yeah.
And normally it would be Joe Smith or Fred Bloggs would be delivering the lecture. And on some of them, it was just listed as TBA. And that the students would turn up and there was a piano man himself.
Really?
Yeah.
How early on was that in his career?
Oh, this was 90s.
Oh, blimey.
90s or noughties.
So students would show up for a lecture, and instead of a lecture, they get a private concert by Billy Joel.
Oh, it wouldn't be a private concert, it would be a legitimate lecture.
Oh.
But the college figured that if they put his name on it...
you wouldn't be able to get in the door, yeah.
Yeah, so instead of being 3 students turning up for it, the entire class would bother to drag themselves out of bed to go to that lecture.
Yes, right.
Whereas if they just put it as TBA, the half a dozen students that made the effort to actually go will be able to go to everybody else and say, oh, you should have been at the lecture this morning. You'll never guess who it was.
Right.
And it was him.
Well, what a talent, though. I mean, him and Elton John used to do the occasional concert together, and I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who has the voice and the back catalogue that could sit on the same stage and trade songs with Elton John.
Yeah. Yeah, not my personal taste, but that's nothing to do with anything. He's still obviously got a hell of a career anyway.
Yeah.
And another little thing about the Aliens film.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently one of the reasons they trimmed out the 17 minutes of footage from the director's preferred cut was that it allowed them to squeeze an extra screening into that particular the particular cinema that was showing it. The screen could get an extra, instead of being, let's say, 3 screenings that day, they could have 4.
4, yeah.
So
well, that makes perfect sense, and I'm sure that every studio has that in mind when they give instructions to their directors. But some directors are too powerful. I mean, Martin Scorsese probably doesn't take instruction. So his films are always about 3 hours long, and no one's going to tell him otherwise.
No, and it also means that for your sci-fi enthusiasts, if they'd suddenly come out with a special director's cut 2 years later, they know that every single one of them's going to trot out and buy it.
Go and buy it again, like every time they remix Dark Side of the Moon, a mug like me is going to go out and buy it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's the joke from Men in Black of a new music format, and what was it? Tommy, what's his face? Character said, "Oh, just have to go and buy the White Album again." So,
is that it? I suppose
it was the old thing. Every time they release a format, everybody goes out and buys all over
again. And buy it again. Yeah, I must have bought the entire David Bowie back catalogue at least 3 times. First out on vinyl, and then on CD, and then the remixed versions of the CD, which I still don't think are quite it. I mean, there's some bands that just, their back catalogue doesn't really sound very good. Like, it hasn't been produced very well, or mixed down very well, or something about it. That guy, the son of George Martin, remixed the Beatles stuff, and the difference is incredible. It's like they're in the room with you, and it's just totally transformed their music. Because previously, they just seemed to be over there. They're sort of inside the speakers. But when he remixed it and brought it all forward and sort of corrected all that stuff that the Beatles used to do when they were experimenting with stereo, all the vocals would be on the left-hand side, which just sounds bad. And when he put them in the middle and just sort of buffed it all up and made it shine, then they weren't in the speaker, they were in the room with you. It's such a difference. And I'd say that the same thing needs to be done with all of David Bowie's stuff and Led Zeppelin, which it just doesn't sound big enough coming out of a speaker, Led Zeppelin stuff. Somebody needs to get in there and do that magic trick.
I mean, Jimmy Page does most of their remixing, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think remixing is not it. I think it's a different job. I think it's production or editing or I think maybe it is remixing. But whoever did it hasn't got it. There are some specialists who are doing it. That guy Steve Wilson, who released such a fantastic album. I can't stop playing it. It's one of my favourite albums of recent years. I think it's called The Outlier or something like that. Can't remember. Anyway, he remixed all of Yes's back catalogue, and that sounds fantastic too. I think the same trick could be done with Pink Floyd as well, and there's just so many other bands who, you hear a modern album and it bursts into the room. You hear something that was recorded in the 1970s and it sort of sounds weedy and in the speakers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Remastering probably is what it is from next door. That's the suggestion. Not remixing, remastering. Yeah.
Yeah, and supposedly Jimmy Page is one of the biggest collectors of Zeppelin bootlegs, because he'll go out and actually try and find as much concert tapings and concert videos from somebody from 1970 whatever, and he's one of the most enthusiastic collectors of it to add to his own collection, which must be pretty phenomenal by now.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, good work. Thanks a lot.
Great.
Bye-bye. 0345 6060 973. Di says, Nick, I heard today that Wales has got 600 castles, all built by the English. But are the Welsh grateful? Everywhere you go in Wales, it's a picture postcard view. It's such a remarkable place. I mean, Scotland is different in that it's huge and magnificent. But Wales is like concentrated pretty. Every corner you turn, it's something different and something beautiful. And practically on every hillock, there's a ruined castle. It's so picturesque. 0345 6060 973. Cornwall. Hello, Malcolm.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Wales. It's the home of the chicken mayo sandwich. I'll have you there.
No, it isn't.
What is it about these people from Somerset losing sleep over my sandwich filling? I find that really weird.
What have you eaten? What have you eaten today?
You don't need to know that information is on a need-to-know basis.
I want to know. Tell me what you've eaten.
Nothing.
Nothing?
I might just engage in a chicken mayo sandwich in a minute. But no, I've come on to advance that conversation, Nick. Yes. Let's not go backwards.
Okay.
Now, mayonnaise and salad do not mix, because you know what is in mayonnaise, don't you?
Well, eggs and oil and vinegar and... Yeah.
Fatty oil.
Right.
And you just don't have fatty oil with a salad.
Of course you do.
No, you don't. You have the salad cream with a salad.
What do you think is in salad cream?
It's not fatty oil as in mayo, put it that way.
Nonsense.
Anyway.
Of course it is. The ingredients of salad cream are probably almost identical to mayonnaise, except for they've probably got more chemicals.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, you look it up. But anyway, so while you look it up...
Don't threaten me.
while you look it up, let me just expand
Here we go. Water, spirit vinegar, rapeseed oil, sugar, modified corn flour or maize starch, mustard powder, flour, pasteurised egg yolks and salt. Oil, rapeseed oil.
Yeah, but it's a different texture and taste, and it's the vinegar and all that makes salad cream sharper. Whereas mayo, I'd be the first to admit mayo is stodgy. I wouldn't put mayo on a salad.
I think you're getting it all wrong. Mayonnaise is for the inside of a sandwich. It's not for putting on a salad. You put oil and vinegar with a good one is to mix a little bit of balsamic, some olive oil, pepper, a little bit of honey, and some mustard in there. Shake it up in a jar and then pour it all over your salad, and you can thank me later.
Thank you. But it's not commonplace to have mayonnaise with a salad. And your Somerset crew, Laura and this fella from Somerset, John, is it?
I just said that. I just said mayonnaise doesn't go on a salad. It has to have oil,
but
French vinaigrette.
That's what these people from Somerset are advocating. Now look, David Beckham, people wonder why David Beckham hasn't had a knighthood before. I agree with them. David Beckham is from a different era, a different quality of football. When England played Andorra in Beckham's day, they would win 2-0, right? They literally thrashed them. David Beckham, famous from snatching a game from Greece.
Greece, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I can recall watching the England team. Yeah, I can recall watching the England team on several occasions, and the only person on the pitch who seemed to be making any effort at all, in fact, dragging the team by the strength of his effort, was David Beckham. But what that has to do with him being a sir, I don't know.
He's earned it, hasn't he?
Has he?
He brought England back, as I say, from the jaws of defeat to a 2-2 draw against Greece in 2001.
Yeah, but what did we actually win?
What?
What did we actually win?
Nothing. Greece won the Euros in 2005, which is, by my reckoning, 20 years ago. We've had how many years of hurt have we had now in England?
Yeah, well,
many.
Yeah, too blooming many. Yeah.
Yeah, but so chicken, yes. Our other friend.
God, you are all over the shop, from chicken to mayonnaise, and now we're at David Beckham, and now we're back to chicken again.
Yes, Somerset. Our other friend from Somerset who kept chickens and was on the quiz show.
And chickens and was on the quiz show.
Yeah. Fantastic caller from Bath.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
She started out with 4 chickens.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, I think, had to make arrangements for the last one.
Malcolm, you know more about this show than I do.
Yeah, I listen to that.
Are you keeping notes?
You need to pay attention, Nick.
Yeah, well, that's the last thing I'm going to do. But I appreciate the instruction. Thanks a lot, Malcolm. Speaking of which, hello, Laura.
Hello. Did he just say my name and forget it in the same phone call?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Well, I'll say this. Good thing he didn't overreact.
Well, he seemed to be very hot under the collar about that whole chicken issue. Yeah. And don't even get him started on mayonnaise.
Well, once again, it has left me and apparently Billy Joel to bring wholesomeness back to this show, because it's been very depressing this evening.
No, get lost. Of course it hasn't been depressing. What are you talking about? I'm in a super mood.
Well, I'm glad you're in a super mood. That is so lovely. I did find out why David Beckham is becoming a sir. It's because of his recent work as a spokesperson for Heinz salad cream. He's been revolutionary.
Well, I would be amazed if he wasn't selling that, because he's selling absolutely everything else that you can think of right now. You name a product, he's got his photograph on a poster near you holding it.
You know it, girl. Okay, so I was going to say, you're talking about the perfect thing to lead into what I was going to say. I purchased a lovely book from a charity shop today. It is. You ready for this? Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, the Kew Gardens cookery book, Nick, and it puts plants on the culinary map as they deserve to be, because you don't need to be having chickens in your sandwich. Just to say. And also, in response to Malcolm, my girl Bing, she's still going strong, she's still with us, and she's not going to be on anyone's sandwich. The last thing I wanted to say was that I've been doing some work in a wildlife hospital this week, and we have made, and this is so freaking adorable, you're not ready for this, little tiny shoes for magpies to straighten out their feet. Now, is that not just the most adorable thing in the world?
But by adorable, if you mean weird, then yes. You make just shoes for magpies.
They got little flip-flops on, Nick. And at one point, and I know I shouldn't have done this, they had one on the table, and we just put them on, and we were like, well, let's see how he walks with them. And then I sort of zoomed him along like he was on skis, and we had a good laugh. Don't know if the magpie really appreciated it, but he's doing really well now, because you take them off in a few days and their feet straighten out. It's brilliant and so cute at the same time.
Well, you've led me down an avenue I didn't even know existed, and I'm going to have to look it up very strongly. Thanks, Laura.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laughs.
Neil says, you may have another item on your bingo card. Agents use military-style force against protesters at LA immigration raid. Armed agents in tactical gear threw flashbang grenades to disperse a crowd in Los Angeles fashion district. Later, agents fired less than lethal ammunition at protesters outside a detention center. And that's from the New York Times, dated today. It's happening. It is happening. I'm telling you it's going to happen. He will get his people, whoever it might be. They could be just anonymous masked agents who show up in an unmarked van, like the ones that are kidnapping people in the street and putting a bag over their head without identifying themselves as to, who they are or who they're working for. I mean, that's scary enough. But I saw those people outside the detention center in Los Angeles, the thousands of people all sort of marching, and that kind of thing is just going to get more and more and more, and there's going to be more and more people joining, to the point that they will start, either anonymously or in full riot gear, start shooting into the crowd. They just will. That's on my bingo card. In fact, that's number 1 on my bingo card. It's pretty much the only one he hasn't done yet. 0345 6060 973. Oldbury, hello, Ranjit.
Chicken, right?
Yes, good, thanks.
Yeah, the best way to eat a chicken, right, is to curry it. Chicken curry is really nice.
No.
Yeah. No. And a bit of rice on the side and a naan bread.
No, I just can't. It's the least favourite type of food for me, a curry.
Is it? Well, yeah, but that's what they probably use them on. I mean, from years ago when the neighbours used to kick up a fuss, say, you lot smell of curry, yeah? It's the biggest meal at the moment in this country.
Well, it's our national dish, isn't it? Chicken vindaloo. But yeah. I would have to go through the entire world before I arrived at Indian food as a choice. Yeah, everywhere else but there.
Yeah. I know, yeah, that's your personal choice.
It is.
We go abroad, right? First thing we do is look for an Indian restaurant, you know what I mean?
Well, that's terrible.
Yeah,
Are there some places where you can't find them? I imagine it'd be quite hard in Italy or France.
Nah, they are. You see, us Indian. Well, I'm British, but my ancestors. We're all over the place, and now there's actually English white people who run Indian restaurants because they've learned the skills to do them, right? Yeah. So they're everywhere. Put it that way. Anyway, talking about these subliminal messages. See, I never used to be able to say that word subliminal, but I can say it now.
Not really. Try it again.
No, I'm going to send a subliminal message now to all of you guys, yeah? Listen to every person that's listening.
Yes.
And I'm prepared to have a bet, yeah, with any person. I will pay for them to come to Birmingham, to the West Midlands. Mm-hmm. I'll put them up for a weekend. Pay for everything. I bet them that Nigel Farage will not be the Prime Minister in the next general election. Right.
Okay. And what kind of a message is that?
Subliminal message to you guys.
Right.
Stop believing in what you're hearing, right? And also, if he isn't, I'm prepared to do a double or quits the following election. He's 61 or 60 years old. Mate, he's got one roll of the dice, and he's going to miss it. And I tell you what, Nick, no matter how many rich backers he gets, even if he gets Elon Musk behind him here, right, which isn't going to happen, right, they're not best of buddies, he will not get elected. I'm prepared to really bet.
I can't see it either. I think that people are just getting excited because he's box office, and so they just keep putting him on, and they like, the TV news will put him on, and the chat shows will have him on, and then the newspapers write about what's on TV, and then it's just this sort of self-perpetuating being that just keeps getting bigger and bigger with no justification, really. It's all based on hot air.
He had an earlier caller who said, "Look, he's everywhere. He finished. For God's sake, you finished third, mate. You're not anywhere, right?" And then when somebody questioned him, how many times you've been to Clacton, one of your presenters was trying to defend him because you'd be surprised how many times he's been there. Yeah, and you know what his answer was? Well, for protection and that, I have to be careful of where I go.
Right.
You can fly to Singapore. You can fly everywhere you're going. To America. Right. Now you can't go to Clacton. Right. And you know what? I think he will lose his seat in Clacton next general election.
Well, he better start showing up. I bet he does just before the election, and he makes a big show about being photographed on doorsteps and acting like he's there all the time. But I mean, we're talking about results here, but we're also talking about a person who has that sort of cult leader kind of profile as Donald Trump does. And so when people vote for a cult leader, then no amount of disappointment is going to persuade them that it has anything to do with the dear leader. It's always somebody else's fault. Like, that's the reason that Brexit wasn't a success, is because we didn't Brexit enough, that he personally wasn't in charge of it, which is just absolute nonsense. But you can't persuade people otherwise.
No, people are getting... Look, even though... Because don't forget, we're only into the first year of our election cycle here, right? And all these people who are going and having babies over Nigel Farage, right? Trust me, right? They are getting wiser, because at the end of the day, right, every time he's adding somebody who's coming up to his... challenging his leadership or whatever... he gets rid of him, and I'm so shocked, right, that this Youssef bloke has come back. Yeah, because you know what, mate. Listen, you said you got better things to do in your life. Go and watch.
He said it wasn't a good use of his time, and then he, having had some time to himself, he changed his mind. It seems just so weird. I mean, it's a British politics is kind of a comedy clown show.
Longer than him. The lettuce lasted longer than this guy.
Longer than he did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, right, when I was speaking to one of your presenters, I reckon Donald Trump, he'd be lucky if he survives in office till Christmas. They reckon the midterms, right?
No.
You know, I don't know. He probably will. I don't know. The thing
in
is,
5 years' time, I bet Donald Trump is still there. He'll be there until he hands it down to one of his idiot sons. Betcha.
Well, J.D. Vance is putting up good manoeuvres at the moment.
Yeah, J.D.,
right?
all of those psycho tech bros with the money that are behind Donald Trump, they're just using him as a battering ram to get into the White House. They want him gone, I think, pretty quick. But the thing with Donald Trump is, people keep underestimating it. I'm sure that the psycho tech bros thought that they could just dismiss Donald Trump as soon as they had used him in order to get into the White House. I'm sure Elon Musk thought that he was more powerful than Trump as well. And all of these people, they all find out too late that Donald Trump is like a steamroller, and he just blasts over anybody that comes into his orbit. That they're all dead in his wake. And I'm sure that the same fate waits for them too. And it couldn't happen to a nicer bunch. Ranjit, got to go. But thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Steve says calamari is squid. Yes, it is disgusting. This calamari is infested with squid. Can you believe that? It says Tommy Robinson applauded Jeremy Clarkson when Clarkson banned Keir Starmer from Diddley Squat. Is there anybody that has not been banned from Diddley Squat Farm Pub yet? Anyone at all? 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on the LBC app, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
You're joking.
He is a very sick and dangerous man.
An inch of rain fell. That doesn't sound like very much, does it? But every road that I drove through to come here tonight was flooded. Like all of them. Our infrastructure just cannot cope with anything. An inch of rain. I mean, I suppose an inch of rain in a short period of time might back things up, but it doesn't sound like very much, does it? I mean, it doesn't sound like something that would freak you out or make you change your plans.
Warning, warning.
There's going to be an inch of rain, like barely enough to drown in. 0345 6060 973. Let's see now. East Grinstead, Benedict.
How you doing, Nick? All right?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah, I'm in the bath at the moment. I spoke to your guy when I rang in. Yeah, so I've now got a stage in my life now with politics and everything that goes on in the world. It becomes so boring, doesn't it? I just like to lie in the bath. And funny enough, I was looking at the world record. How long can you lie in a bath for?
And
I think I can do it. Well, it's 4 days, apparently.
4 days? God, you come out like a wrinkled prune.
Yeah, I can do it easily. My mates would say, what the hell are you doing? Because I can literally get in the bath at 8 o'clock in the evening and get up at 10 in the morning. And I'm like, yeah, fine.
Well, do you have to keep topping it up with warm?
Yeah, so I've got a really good technique on my left big toe and my right toe that pulls the plug out as I coordinate it, and it's fantastic. I was speaking, I was thinking, if I go to the world record, what issues am I going to have? I'm thinking, when I need a you-know-what, that's going to be an issue, isn't it?
Oh.
But I can go for it, I think.
Well, as long as you're not speaking to me in the bath completely naked, then that's okay. As long as you've, maintained decorum, Benedict.
No, absolutely, always, yeah. But I just want to do this challenge because I know that it would be something I'd be really quite proud of. I mean, it's like, why not? I can just lie here and just pop up and keep going. And
I'm 10 minutes. 10 minutes, absolutely tops. First of all, I don't really take baths, but on the very seldom occasion that I do, I can't get in there for more than 10. It takes longer to draw the bath than I can lie in it.
Are you serious? That's amazing.
Well, I'm an amazing person, Benedict.
Yeah, but I was also going to say about chicken sandwiches as well. What was your issue with the chicken sandwich? You don't like it?
No, I like a chicken sandwich, but it just seemed a bit bare to me. It didn't seem like any effort had gone into the making of the chicken sandwich. There was no love expanded on the sandwich.
But you should love eating it. Don't worry about the love making it.
No, I think the love has to... The love you take is equal to the love you make.
Absolutely. I mean, just a bit of mayo, salt and pepper. I mean, how good is that?
Wow, no. You're wrong on so many levels. I barely know where to begin. But don't fall asleep in that bath, all right?
No, I will. I'm going to go for the 4-day challenge. You'll find me somewhere.
Yeah, I'll find you on the "and finally" story of the news. Hopefully not. And I wish you the best of luck. Thanks a lot, Benedict. Maybe you should be wearing water wings just in case. Sam in Lincolnshire says, I'm eating a lovely baguette that I made myself with sliced egg, mayo and lettuce while I wait for my son to arrive at Stansted Airport from Ireland. You're not a gamer fan, but my son was over there doing some work with the team that has just made it into the Pro League. This means that he is now a professional gamer, which is amazing, says Sam. Yes, octopus is disgusting. The suckers get stuck on your tongue. Yeah, you're not supposed to eat a live one, you idiot. A professional gamer. That just blows my mind. Because what that means is that people are prepared to not just waste their lives playing video games. It's worse than that. They're wasting their lives watching other people play video games. And the first time I was made aware of this was a South Park episode where they've got somebody called, I can't remember who it was, some unbelievably huge presence on the internet whose entire offering was playing video games while other people watched them do it. It was called some daft name, Squeegee or Wee Wee or something like that, and it was part of an episode on South Park. And I thought, well, I just assumed that they were making it up, that it wasn't real, but no, there's somebody who makes millions of dollars playing video games while kids watch them do it. What a way to run a planet, eh?
Dreadful.
0345 6060 973. Norbury. Hello, Tony.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good, thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to know your thoughts on...
Tony, it sounds like you're in the bath.
I've just come out. I'm not actually in the bath. I've come out now.
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to know your thoughts on the Reform chairman joining up today. I mean, there must be something behind it. Do you think he got a payoff?
I think he's plenty well off enough not to be an issue. I don't know. Maybe he had a day in which to contemplate the empty chasm of his life and decided to go back to work for that lot? I've got no idea.
Yeah, it's just a bit strange that he resigned over the question that was asked in Parliament, and
well, so he said.
48 hours later, I thought it was a bit strange.
Yeah, everything about it is strange.
Yeah,
it's the strange party.
Do you think it's going to propel him in some way?
Going to do what?
Do you think it's going to propel him up the polls in some way?
I'm not sure that that's going to work in their favour, no, because it seems like a bit of a clown show. I mean, you know, the last week or so, it's just been, like I said at the top of the show, it's been like a roller coaster, apart from the fact that roller coasters are on the rails.
Yeah. I mean, I listen to a lot of politics lately, and recently, like, watching newscasts a lot, and the main political guy on there, he says, like, reform are just rising so exponentially. I mean, it's crazy.
Who said? Yeah, well, that does sound crazy. Who said that?
Oh, do you want me to name him?
No.
No.
They just came third in a by-election, and they seem to be losing people like Christmas trees lose their needles in January. They're just all over the place. And their performance so far in their respective councils is that's laugh out loud funny as well. But anyway, Tony, I wish you all the best. Thanks for that. This text says, Nick, how can one define a doozy and a humdinger? Well, they're very good examples of their type, I think. Both a doozy and a humdinger would fit into that description. Neither of which you could say about reform. They are doozy and humdinger free. This is a story in the Independent. Councils taken over by Reform UK have been left in a state of paralysis as dozens of key meetings are cancelled and newly elected councillors fail to show up. Fail to show up for the job they were elected to do, Nigel. Can you imagine that? In May's local council elections, Nigel Farage's party gained control of 9 councils and minority control in a further 3. But opposition councillors have claimed that organisation and productivity have been a shambles since the election. And some claiming that Reform representatives do not know what they're doing.
Nigel Farage is not fit and proper to be in government.
Across the 12 Reform control councils, 33 meetings have been cancelled or postponed within the first 9 weeks since the election. And at least 21 Reform councillors have missed their first meetings, despite the majority of those only having had 1 meeting to attend in the first place. Maybe they were too busy trying to get Donald Trump on the phone.
I don't give out my number to anybody.
The worst affected councils are Kent and Nottinghamshire, where Reform holds 57 and 39 seats respectively. In Kent, 9 out of the 22 meetings, that is 40%, have been cancelled since the election on the 4th of July. That compares to just 15% in all of 2024. These include legally required meetings like the Governance and Audit Committee, a crucial part of local government structures, ensuring accountability and transparency of the council's finances. Maybe they were too busy shouting at rainbows. Other meetings like the Police and Crime Panel were cancelled, as the membership of the committee was yet to be confirmed, something opposition councillors say suggests that Reform are not ready or prepared for their roles. Well, that's not true. They are prepared for their roles. Their roles are complaining about unisex toilets and stoking fear about an alien invasion, which is presumably what the people of Kent and Nottinghamshire elected them to do. Because, as has been explained to me at great volume hundreds of times by fans of Nigel, they knew what they were voting for. Opposition councillor in Kent, Rich Lehman, said the cancellations were shocking and made him question whether Reform were capable of leading the council. He said Reform did better than anybody expected, and clearly better than they expected as well. Yeah, I mean, who does that remind you of?
I'm president. Can you believe it?
Yeah, can you believe it? No, Donny, we're still stunned. Opposition councillor in Kent, Rich Lehman, said nobody knows what's going on. There's a lot of confusion. It's a ball of confusion, like that song by the Temptations, which was a song about tension and war and discord in the 1970s. And pretty much every word is true about where we are today. Everything's been done under the sun.
Rock and roll!
And amid all this confusion and the predictable comical clown show, Kent is home of Reform UK's first Elon Musk-style Department of Government Efficiency, which has been set up to look at wasteful spending in councils. Well, they can cut the wages of all the Reform councillors that haven't shown up for work. Any chance that's where they'll start?
No.
No, they'll be concentrating on the important stuff like closing libraries because, you know, information is the enemy. Or they'll close youth clubs, assuming there are any of those still clinging to life after 14 years of Tory austerity. And as it's a party that's led by property developers, I would imagine they would have eyes on football fields and recreation grounds and parks because, you know, who needs those? Just a waste of space. And I'll have a small bet with anyone who wants to take it that these ludicrously named Department of Government Efficiency trolls won't find a single thing to cut that won't harm the people they're supposed to be working on behalf of, because councils have been stripped for parts by the Tories like an abandoned car on a council estate. There's nothing there. In Nottinghamshire, the opposition Conservative group said the cancellations had sparked serious concerns about leadership, accountability and the future of the local service. This is a shambolic start for reform, said Sam Smith, not that one, leader of the Conservatives. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I agree with that Conservative.
What?
He said scrapping every key meeting in their first full month in charge is not only reckless, it's dangerous. He said this puts public services at risk and just shows how unprepared Reform really are. He said there's no excuse for this. They should be in their offices, speaking to officers, getting to grips with their jobs. Instead, the car park is empty and the council is effectively leaderless. This is what happens when you elect people who had no plan and no idea what the job involved. Every single word. And every single one of those people, by the way, was vetted for suitability by the dear leader.
I'm a nutcase.
And in a stunning development, the man who 48 hours ago said he was working for Reform, said that working for Reform was not a good use of his time, now says, please disregard everything I said. On reflection, I now think that working for Reform is a good use of my time. So that's clear. Zia Yusuf returned to Reform 2 days after quitting as party chairman. He announced his departure in the way that all grown-up discussion is conducted these days, on the social media site that's one long right-wing howl into the wind, Twitter. Zia Yusuf posted on Twitter on Thursday that his work for Nigel Farage was no longer a good use of my time. And that was after he called Sarah Potchin's Look at Me rant at Prime Minister's Questions dumb. A representative of the self-styled Freedom Party wants to tell women what they can and cannot wear in the interest of choice. They don't want women to have a choice. And so Yusuf quit. He said, right, that's it, I'm leaving. And less than 2 days later, he burst through the door and says, I'm back. And he'll now rejoin Reform's senior team in a new role. I love that. Senior team. And at the moment, the senior team consists of Goofy, Dopey, Grumpy, Sleepy, Snooty and Grasper, plus the evil queen, Snow White, unavailable. Yusuf said he rethought his decision to resign after receiving a huge number of lovely, heartfelt messages from people who have expressed their dismay at his resignation, urging him to reconsider. Yeah, what's funny about that? I'm sure that happened. And his new role does not have a formal title, but will include running the party's Doge unit to increase local government efficiency in Reform control councils, with a key role in policy-making, electioneering and media appearances, which might just mean providing the party with money, I don't know, or he might actually think he can do what Elon Musk spectacularly failed to do and find some savings. Because what Musk did was fire hundreds of thousands of good people who were working on things like nuclear safety and cancer research and child illness prevention. And he claimed the win by jumping around on stage like he was on a special cocktail of drugs that no one had ever been brave enough to take together immediately following a mad scramble to rehire everyone that got fired. Because even the Republicans didn't want to fire people and make their country work properly. But go ahead, Zia Yusuf, see how much you can save the people of the councils that Reform runs without taking away the things that they really rely on. It would be like trying to find meat on a carcass of a buffalo that's been picked at by vultures for 14 years. Poor cow.
LBC. Nick Abbott. On LBC, call 0345 6060 973.
Oh, hello.
Alex says, it's remarkable how a country as powerful as the United States can allow itself to be ruled by an orange toupee-wearing slug. A toupee?
I don't wear a toupee.
Yeah, he's not worried about the slug part, just the toupee. A toupee-wearing slug and his posse of misfits, sycophants and freaks. Stupidity exists in all countries, yet the US is unique insofar that it is as powerful as it is stupid. And the crazy thing is, the worst of it is yet to come. Yeah, I bet it is. They're just working up to the good stuff, yeah. Gary says, I missed the first 20 minutes of tonight's broadcast, so with the magic of technology, I've started from the beginning. Please, could you read this out 20 minutes ago? Yeah. Wow, my head is totally scrambled. I'm... Right. Huh? You're listening to the start of this show and it hasn't even finished yet. How's that possible? 0345 6060 973. Southsea. Hello, Paul.
Oh, good evening, Nick.
Yes, Paul.
Hello. I've been to see a couple of Canadians in the last few weeks. Omid Jalili, an Iranian, and then tonight Henning Wen, a self-titled German ambassador. I wonder if Nigel knows, and they're coming over here now and taking over our comedy even. Yeah, God, yeah.
And were they? How were they?
Really, really good. Really, really funny, I must say. Yeah. Definitely recommend both. I've developed trigger finger, Nick. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a tendon thing, apparently. I've not been firing guns or anything like that, but woke up last Sunday and my wedding finger, no ring was involved, but I am happily married. It was in a locked position and touching the palm of my hand. And I suppose I should phone the doctor, but I need to phone at 8 a.m. now, apparently, and that would mean sort of skipping porridge and then waiting to get through, and by then it'd be time for lunch. But, it's a very painful thing. I don't know if any of the listeners have suffered with it.
So your ring finger is touching the palm of your hand and you can't get it off?
Well, I mean, it's all right now. That was last Sunday, but it took me 10 minutes, and I was frantically trying to find solutions, tapping with a good finger, tapping the phone, trying to find out, what remedies there might be, and eventually I unlocked it with someone recommended warm water, and it made a terrible clicking sound, and I've been in a bit of pain ever since. But enough of my problems. I hadn't heard you mention it. Had you seen the latest Mission Impossible film? I went to see it in the week.
Yes.
What did you think?
I thought it... I've said this several times on this show over the last week or so, but I thought it was two of the most fantastic action sequences ever put on film, strung together with a lot of talking.
Absolutely. Too much talking. I thought the previous film was much better. The one but last.
I thought the previous film suffered from the same problem. That there was just too much. They could have cut at least a half an hour off.
I thought exactly the same. So
I think that the studios maybe. I mean, we have talked about this on this program already tonight, but the studios prefer a shorter film because they can put more showings on in the day in a cinema.
Right.
But I also think that there seems to be an almost like an arms race to give people what they think is good value for their ticket. So if you go to a cinema and you see that the film is only 80 minutes long, you think, I'll be a bit short-changed. But that could be 80 perfect minutes.
It could be. I tend to agree with you. Can I just say quickly? Sorry, Daniel, I can't help tomorrow because of the trigger finger. I'm supposed to be digging up his garden or helping him put all the stuff in.
I thought we'd established that you had cured that.
Oh, well, it's temporary. It's still like I've got the remains of it, you know. It's still aching and feels like it's about to happen again, you know.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
I get it. Okay. I suppose you're going to have to use that as an excuse. It might work for a while. Best of luck. Thanks, Paul. 0345 6060 973. Lucy in Balham says, when Zia Yusuf claims he was working 18-hour days, is he trying to say that he was filling in for Farage's absence in the House of Commons? 18-hour days. Anybody buying that? Who works 18-hour days? I mean, it would literally give you 4 hours a day to sleep. Yeah, no wonder he freaked out. Talking about sleep deprived. Who can survive on that? And what's he spending 18 hours doing? I mean, what constitutes work in this example? Nicky Margate says, your predictions are falling into place. Elon will fund and fuel a rally against the Trump administration. A crowd of thousands will parade and protest while wearing Elon Musk face masks. Hence, then Trump ordering the firing into the crowd. Yeah, it's coming, and probably sooner than you might have thought. Any day now. Text from O'Sheen in Aldershot. This all reminds me of the debate an Italian minister had with somebody who said that the headscarf... Oh, no. I don't want to get into this. Oh, okay. He said, this all reminds me of a debate an Italian minister had with somebody who said that the headscarf should be banned because Italy is a Christian country. And the minister replied, why should we ban it if Jesus' own Mother Mary always wore a headscarf and has even always been depicted in paintings doing so? Well, actually, that's true, isn't it? Yes. What's religion got to do with it? Get Tina Turner on the phone and she'll sing it to us. Maidstone, hello, Lee.
Hello, Nick. You all right, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Oh, God, your monologue, Ben, is going to make me look silly. The reason I rung up was if Ranjit's still listening, I want to take him up on his bet.
Oh, yeah.
I reckon Reform are going to win.
Yeah,
I don't think they can lose, mate, to be honest.
You're in trouble, Ranjit.
Yeah, only thing is I don't eat fish. So if I go to his restaurant,
well,
maybe you could do us a chicken curry. That sounded nicer, I think.
If you order ahead, I'm sure he could knock up a saveloy. How's that sound?
Yeah, what I was going to say is if I win, he can do me a chicken curry and chips, and the loser has to eat a salty chicken sandwich from Bodmin.
Oh.
I've been laughing about that all week, Malcolm. But his missus gone on holiday and he's our shower. I'm going to stay up all night, watch the Hamilton by-election with a salty chicken sandwich.
Yeah, that's living the high life, that is.
Yeah, that's how it goes, yeah. But yeah, if Ranjit's listening, when Spurs play Wolves, I'll go to Oldbury and I'll buy him a crate of beer if I lose. And if I win, I can have fish and chips for nothing.
Right, well... okay, I'm not going to invigilate. You're going to have to sort that out amongst yourselves.
Yeah,
but I wish you both all the very best. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Chris in Middlesbrough says, why all the hate towards the chicken mayo and salt sarnie? It's an incredible combination. Southern snobbery at work here. Ain't got nothing to do with southern snobbery. It's just that it's not much of a sandwich. And why the emphasis on salt? Salt is not a part of the ingredients of a sandwich. You don't read on a restaurant the ingredients of a sandwich and they put salt on it. That's just assumed, isn't it? I mean, chicken, mayo and lettuce, that sounds like a sandwich. Chicken, bacon, mayo and lettuce, ooh... Now we're talking. But I mean, it's so bereft of ingredients that you have to include salt on the list of them. That's nothing. I'm sorry, but I'm digging my heels in on that one. It's a no from me. And furthermore...
No.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hot H-O-T-A-I-R.
Richard in Carmarthen says, if you want to be pedantic about it, the plural of octopus is octopedes. O-C-T-O-P-O-D-E-S. It's a Greek word, not Latin, says Richard. Now we know. This says, there's nothing wrong with a chicken mayo sarnie. Just chicken sarnie, perfectly decent and delicious. We can't all be like you and afford to sit in the Savoy tucking into some exotic treat made by a three Michelin-starred chef. Cost 50 quid and is the size of a matchbox. That's not me. That's Nigel Farage you're describing there. The Savoy is his stamping ground, not mine. 0345 6060 973. Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hi, good morning, Nick.
Yes,
I was going to say
Jan.
good evening, but it's the morning, isn't it?
It is the morning. Top of the morning to you.
It's Sunday. But Nick,
yes.
I'm ringing up. I've rang up to say something about Trumpism because it's just a crazy situation. I mean, the thing is that this Trumpism is actually having such a hold on. Well, it's what they're saying is that it's on its march through Europe. You know, UK, France, Germany, Netherlands, Italy, Poland. And look what happened in Poland recently. They've got the far right Law and Justice Party came in, and it's like they're saying that this trend of Trumpism in Europe is a kind of toxic impact. I mean, it's like looking for a populist. I mean, wanting a populist, nationalistic, leader, charismatic in some way, not in the Farage way, who can manipulate media and has a sort of personality cult.
Yeah.
And that what's funny is that, I mean, what's incredible is that what really is reality, because when Rants attended that Munich meeting earlier in the year in February, he said that he said to the Europeans there at that meeting that it wasn't that it was the threat to Europe was from within.
Within, yeah.
And not from Russia or China, but it's to do with that they things like free speech. I mean, it's incredible that he could come out with something like that.
Every accusation from those people is a confession.
But he's accusing of Europe retreating from free speech. Whereas, I mean, in America, look, Trump's trying to stop all those thousands of students going to Harvard, though there's a judge that...
I'll say it again. Every accusation is a confession. It's displacement. They're trying to cover up... I mean, it's classic Trump. He does it all the time. He accuses others of that which he is guilty.
Yeah, I mean, it's sick, isn't it? I mean, what's going to happen? What is really going to happen? Because, I mean, there's the real threat facing Europe. There's that thought that says it's not Russia or even China. It's Trumpism.
Yeah.
That appeals to. But look at what Trump's done. I mean, it's horrible. But they're saying this. Britain is looking to have a special relationship with Trump anyway when he comes to England, isn't it, Nick?
Yeah, I kind of doubt that he's going to come.
He meets the king.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that he's going to come.
I
doubt that he's going to come. I can't see it actually happening.
Oh, but they want to. They're trying. What England's hoping is that Trump has a special fondness for Churchill and their special relationship, and that's what built a special relationship.
He's the world's thinnest skinned whiner, and he is not going to come to a place where there's going to be mass protests against his presence. He just won't come, I bet you.
Oh yeah, they want to stop him going to Scotland or something. Yeah. There's a move.
I mean, at most he'll helicopter into his golf course in Scotland. He'll lumber about the place and then helicopter back out again. We ain't going to see hide nor hair of him. I bet you don't come to London.
Yeah, but they say there could be a lot of protests about him going to Scotland.
Exactly, like I just said, he's going to helicopter in, helicopter out, and he won't see a single protester apart from from a distance. Don't worry about it, Jan. It will or will not happen, regardless of you fretting. All right. This says you're right about cutting stuff from movies. They cut Ruck Mayles Peeves the poltergeist from the Harry Potter movie. Do you mean Rick? Rick Mayles Peeves the poltergeist from the Harry Potter movies. Why do they do that? I had no idea that any such thing existed. Shane in Tadcaster says, good news, it's unlikely AI will replace dentists.
Affirmative.
Yeah, that's a good point. There are some professions that are going to be immune. Yeah. I think plumbers are not going to be replaced by AI, electricians, plasterers, the entire building trade, with the exception possibly of bricklayers, because I've seen a machine that can lay bricks. And there's 3D printing as well, of course. I mean, if that gets really good and portable, then you'll be able to 3D print walls. But then the stuff that goes in the walls, an actual real-life human being is going to have to stick that in, you know, the wires and the pipes and all that stuff. So I think the building trade will be fairly okay. But anybody that looks at a screen for their work is about to be replaced by a chip in that screen. And I am, at this moment, looking at 20 screens. What could possibly go wrong? Belsize Park. Hello, Judy.
Hello.
Judy.
Your chicken sandwich problem.
Yes.
And the debate about mayonnaise. The answer is coleslaw.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I'm a rotten, lousy cook, but I make very good coleslaw. So I will give you the instant quick recipe, equal parts grated carrot, grated white cabbage, slightly less grated apple.
Apple?
Apple.
Wait a minute, are you making a Waldorf salad?
No, Waldorf is completely different. grated apple.
Yes.
Like a Granny Smith, something like that. Some sultanas that have been soaked. Some sultanas that have been soaked in boiling water, so they kind of plump up.
Yes.
And then let them go. Get rid of the water. Let them go cold.
Walnuts.
Mix the carrot, the cabbage, the apple, the sultanas
and
together.
the walnuts.
No, you don't need walnuts. Mayonnaise.
Red onion.
No, you don't need red onion. Just the ingredients I've given you. You have to use the mayonnaise that's got the royal warrant on it.
Right.
And there you go. And you put that on your chicken, and it makes the most delicious sandwich.
No, I don't like it.
Have you tried it?
No.
Well, try it. Because
I'm going to have to sit here till I've finished. Is that what you're saying?
Well, because chicken is kind of dry. And then if you just put mayonnaise on it, it's kind of icky.
Yeah.
But if you put the
could slide
coleslaw-
right off, actually, couldn't it?
Yeah, sorry.
Go on.
No, the coleslaw makes it into a proper meal.
Yeah.
It is delicious.
That sounds good.
Yes.
With some crusty French bread.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking.
Yes. And you're not going to get replaced by an AI thing.
Why, you don't know that I haven't been replaced already.
Affirmative.
I mean, how could a human being come up with all of these sounds?
Correct.
Also, have I got another second or two?
Yes.
I know you're mad on Kew Gardens. Have you ever been to the Chelsea Physic Garden?
No.
Go there.
Where is it?
Brilliant. I can't remember. Somewhere kind of...
Is it in Chelsea?
No, it's kind of round that way. It was done as a garden for growing medicinal plants. It is. I haven't been there for years, but it is gorgeous and beautiful and got a wonderful cafe there, and I'm nothing to do with the management.
Right. I'll put it on my list.
Yeah, look it up on your machine.
I most certainly will do nothing of the sort. But
the next ad break, look it up.
I'll just go to Chelsea and I'll ask passers-by if they can give me directions. I bet not one single one of them speaks English. Or even slows down at their pace.
Nobody talks to anybody in London, you know that.
I know that.
Chelsea Physic Garden is absolutely glorious.
OK, well, let me just check what the weather's going to be like this week, because I might have to do it straight away, if not sooner. One moment, please, caller.
You have to have nice weather.
Wow. Have you seen what's coming?
No, I saw what came today. It was bad enough.
It was terrible today, but things are looking up as of tomorrow. 64, and this is the middle of London. Other areas of the country will have their own weather, especially Glasgow. Tomorrow, 64. Monday, this is Fahrenheit, 68. But by Wednesday, 79.
Well, then you could go on Wednesday.
Thursday, 80.
You could go with a sun hat and sunglasses.
Now we're talking. 80 degrees. That sounds like summer to me.
So can you report back to me next Friday? I'll listen in.
Absolutely. But thanks for asking.
Then.
OK. Cheers, Judy. 0345 6060 973. I don't take requests. It's not a request show. Do I sound like Anne-Marie Minhall to you? Dominic says, Despair is an island in the Mediterranean, ranked 200 in the world, and haven't kept a clean sheet in 201 games. Right, not Andorra, but Despair. Gotcha. And this says, you may diss the monster raving loony party, but the most memorable picture of the last election was Moggy standing next to their fried breakfast face man as he lost. Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what was that?
I don't know anything.
One more time?
I don't know anything.
He really doesn't know anything. Voters said, up with this, we will not put.
Voters have had enough.
Enough of him. Yeah, that man with the fried breakfast face, full face mask thing, that was terrifying. I mean, it was just really unsettling to look at, wasn't it? Horrible. It's probably illegal to walk around with that on. It's so alarming. But it was amusing to see Smug standing right next to him. Yeah. 0345. I mean, ordinarily I don't like to revel in others' misfortune, but in his case, I'll make an exception.
Leading Britain's conversation, Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
This is absolute tosh.
Thanks, Nige. You're the best. Dale says, I was pretty gutted today driving through my hometown of Ashford in Middlesex, and there was a gazebo erected in the town with a Reform Party promotion going on. 5 people were standing there, all over 70 years old, giving out leaflets. Yeah, that's the political juggernaut that's coming our way. Right, okay, sure. Sally says, wouldn't it be good if all these tech dudes had competitions in how many hospitals they can build? Yeah, but they're not really interested in that, are they? They're just interested in competing with each other and how much money they can make and hold on to. They're not wealth creators, they're wealth hoarders. And Tony says, hi, the England 1-0 win against Andorra was one of the worst performances I have ever witnessed. It wasn't even played in Andorra, it was played in Barcelona. Bring back Gareth Southgate. Yeah, it's a pretty inauspicious start to the new regime, eh? 1-0 against Andorra. I mean, please. Holloway. Hello, Stephen.
Good morning.
Sir.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
In fine form and settled, so it's good. So that's always a good one. I did want for you to hear a caller's response on another LBC show, but apparently Global Player doesn't keep them long enough, because it was just quite amazingly apparent that this caller knew that the act of reform getting into power maybe a month ago would have been quite a ridiculous thing, because they do not have enough people, A, to run any council well,
No.
and all have the prerequisite amount of experience, knowledge, and capability to do it well or better than, quote unquote, the previous or current lot.
Yeah, well, it should come as no surprise because they've gathered these people in a matter of moments from nowhere. They've just all come in. They said, can you? Are you able to walk and talk at the same time? Yes, that's great. Well, you're hired, and then they put them in positions of power in these councils, and then much to everyone's surprise, they don't show up for work.
Now there's something that came up earlier. The fact that they didn't attend. Was it 33 of the prerequisite meetings that they're supposed to attend?
Yeah, something like
once they've taken power.
40-odd%.
So, isn't that an indicator to those people who voted for them or are in the business of promoting them that maybe they're promoting their way to something in a handbasket?
Well, you would think so, but it's not really a political party, it's more like a cult. Same thing with Donald Trump in America, and people who have joined a cult will excuse anything because they have given that body, that institution, their all. They're all in, and there's no coming back, and there's no rethinking it. They've joined, and that's it. There's no reaching them now.
Well, funny enough, at the last national elections, I volunteered at a community centre, and it was being used as a polling station. Me and the lady that ran it basically up all night, making sure that it was clean and ready to go. Because we were a bit slow on the count, we basically ended up finishing, and instead of taking ourselves home, we just rested, and basically the voting started. So we basically kept ourselves in place and meted and greeted everyone. Good morning, good evening. Hope you get to pick what you want, whatever. Just minor pleasantries.
Yeah.
And the look of people's eyebrows wanting to be a bulldozer was just ridiculous. And one gentleman in particular who came outside looked us both up and down because the lady is of Caribbean background as myself, and basically said, well, now we've voted, people will know, and people like you will be gone, end quote. So do you think that kind of reform voter, plus all the people that they've gathered together to be the motley crew, would have put themselves forward or voted had their use of space been on the reform poster?
Well, it does surprise me that people who joined that party... you could say the same thing with a lot of Tories. They whip up this kind of hatred among. Well, they don't whip it up. They legitimise the hatred of others, in the assumption that the people they're trying to appeal to wouldn't want them on a plane out of here as well. I can't put myself in the mindset of somebody who assumes that just because I've got a blue rosette on or a yellow one or whatever, that they would disregard me as a non-white person and shelve the kind of the hatred for them personally. I don't see how they've come to that conclusion. Kemi Badenoch will be banging on about putting all these people on a plane and sending them off to Rwanda on the assumption that people wouldn't want her on that plane that she's trying to appeal to as well. I can't fathom it. But anyway, thanks for that, Stephen. Tom in Bristol says, I've worked on a bunch of international gaming competitions. The kids earn millions of dollars if they win. They look like F1 drivers in their sponsored shirts, and they're given hand massages and finger warmers prior to competing. And maybe that guy with the stuck ring finger. That's exactly what he needs. A hand massage and a finger warmer. Will says, I spent 12 years in a shower and I never beat any records, but that was when that's when I lived in Glasgow. These are the jokes, folks. And this says, I listened to all your shows and thought you may be exaggerating about shootings until I watched a documentary about Vietnam. and found out they shot innocent students at Kent State University in 1970. Oh, catch up. Crosby, Stills and Nash wrote a song about it. Apparently Joe Walsh was there. Joe Walsh out of the Eagles.
Rock and roll!
Well, latterly of the Eagles. I mean, he had a tremendous career before he joined the Eagles, but he did that and then buried himself in money. All of that Hotel California cash. Yeah, Joe Walsh was right there, apparently, as the shootings happened. And then Crosby, Stills, Nash wrote that song. And I think that somebody's going to have to write another one pretty quick because it's about to happen again. Lester, hello, Mark.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Mark.
It's an honour and a privilege to be on your show with in the great company of Ranjit and Rose and all these people.
Right.
Yeah, brilliant callers. Relating to the last thing you were talking, I was thinking about Englishness. You know, all these people that go around shouting England, all these sort of Neanderthals, you know. If you ask them, what is it about Englishness that they so hold dear?
Yeah.
Do you think most of them would actually have an answer? Or is it just hating other people?
No, I know that they wouldn't, because this is the kind of thing that comes up as a topic on the serious show that I do on Sunday night. And
yes,
it doesn't matter how many times you ask. I mean, they aren't gotchas. I'm not like, launching a surprise attack. That will be the topic of the hour. So it gives them something to think about before they call. And nobody can come up with anything at all.
Yes, exactly. It all seems to be based on othering, you know, like just hating other people. And yet it's some of the people who aren't so loud-mouthed about it probably could be a lot more celebratory.
Well, the loud part, the loud part is key, because you assume because that's what you hear that is the majority, but it really isn't. They're just a very, very, very loud and vocal minority, a tiny minority, really.
Yeah,
I mean, most people
always been about 15%, haven't they? Really?
Yeah, those kind of parties have always polled about there. Now, Reform is doing a bit better at the moment, but I think once they are in a position of power, as they are with several local councils at the moment, then people's experience of them in the real world, as opposed to just Nigel Farage, barking at them from their TV sets, it's going to perhaps change their minds about the decisions that they made in voting for him in the first place. We'll see.
Exactly, yes. On the subject, you just mentioned salad. You've mentioned Fawlty Towers a few times. Do you think that's the greatest English time?
The Waldorf salad.
Is that the best episode?
I know it's hard to pick a best episode. I mean, you wouldn't want to get rid of any of them.
No,
I'll put it that way.
Communication problems myself. But.
Yeah, I'll put it that way. Which one would you want to be rid of? Which one would you want never to have seen? And there isn't one, really. And that's the nature of that. And that's the nature of only having 12 episodes. They're just perfect. Don't touch them. Don't add to them. Particularly, do not try and add to them. Won't work. All right, thanks, Mark. This says, I'm a chef. Mayonnaise is used in sandwiches to create a protection for the bread so it doesn't go soggy. That's why most sandwiches contain it. I don't believe that. Mayonnaise makes a sandwich go soggy, surely. Doesn't it? You put mayonnaise on bread, and the moisture in the mayonnaise will soften the bread. Surely. Mike says, of course, let's bear in mind that we have Sir Gavin Williamson, so Sir David Beckham is pretty good by comparison. Yes, that is true. Of course, there is a man who knows about Britishness.
I just reckon we've got the very best people in this country, much better than the French have, much better than the Belgians have, much better than the Americans have. That doesn't surprise me at all, because we're a much better country than every single one of them.
A much better country than every single one of them. Vladimir Putin should shut up and go away. He used to be our defence secretary. Can you believe that?
No.
No, me neither. Strange, but true. Yeah. He's the guy that had a whip on his desk, because that made him look tough. We're all lucky to be alive. Declan says, listening from County Kildare in Ireland, never heard of Steve Wilson until tonight, so thank you for the recommendation. His videos are amazing. The Overview is the album. That's right. It is amazing. It really is extraordinary. I didn't know anything about this guy until I came across his album on a streaming service, and the cover looked interesting, so I thought, oh, well, I'll look at that. And the name kind of rang a bell. A little bit of a bell. Imagine Aphex Twin mixed with Pink Floyd and Yes. And that's about right. It's an extraordinary thing. I think you'll love it. Stephen Wilson. Listen to it later, and you can thank me. No, wait. I think I've changed my mind. You can thank me now.
Thank you.
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 Now.
Thank